DJ Longers, man.
You better ask somebody.
We're doing it again.
People, are you ready?
Put me on the D.
On the D, boy.
I wanna get freaky in the sheet.
In the sheet, boy.
Put me on your bed list. Bad girl, so we thought you could arrest this. Match me like we in a game of Tetris. Nah, I'm the realest and the bestest. Take the thingy out the boot. You gotta run, put the thingy in my shoe.
1, 2, check, 1, 2, 3. We're live. Welcome to AAA Access All Areas.
I got the thingy in my waistline. Can't stop, won't stop, I couldn't waste time. Money on my mind, I gotta make.
Yeah.
Trippy on the beat and on the baseline. I said put me on the beat. You wanna get all freaky in the sheets. You get me everything I want all on the beat. You come again and again, he on repeat like. Put me on the beat. You wanna get all freaky in the sheets. You give me everything I want all on the beat. You come again and again, he on repeat like. Put me on the beat. I wanna get all freaky in the sheets. You give me everything I want all on the beat. You come again and again.
Live and direct from Talia Studios. My name is DJ Longers.
They put me on the hit list. So talk.
Once again, live and direct. My name is DJ Longers, live from Talia Studios, and welcome to AAA Access All Areas. And today is all about the question: can a musical, educational musical course help your music career? Yep, we got a big one today. We're doing this. Once again, welcome, live and direct. Welcome to Access All Areas, aka AAA. We got a big one for you today, trust me. And a big panel. Kicking off the show with some ladies going on great in the music industry right now. Let's go.
Snack, I'm the whole damn platter. Whipping in a pan, making dough, no batter. They hating on me, but them rats, they don't matter. When they see me in my live, oh, them all scatter. It's all chatter. But wanna watch what I do, man, all my haters come and all gather. I'm off, car stay on them, oh no, poor bladder. I mean, they hate to see him in magazines. Hating that their favorite rapper be a fan of me. They hating that them couldn't never hang with me. I ain't paying no attention to it, hasn't been. So move, get out my way. While them watching, I'm still getting paid. Send him to country and give him a wage. If that want a job too, I'm hiring today. No snack, I'm the whole damn platter. Wanna hate, but them don't matter. No snack, I'm the whole damn meal. Got round me with the big boys still. No snack, I'm the whole damn platter. Wanna hate, but them don't matter. No snack, I'm the whole damn meal.
If you're not feeling well, make sure you go and see your doctor.
Life good, tell me what else for right. 511, what else for like? Come on, London, couldn't be no cruff. Man a hustler, so we born roughs. Big house and I be my park up. Don't carry news when you see me talk up. Step clean if I in a something new. And we the gyal them in a them not in a you. Man a real bombastic. Money in a pie, money pan plastic.
Longers!
Fantastic. Make money, live life, that's it.
Man a real bombastic. He goes by the name of Doctor, sounding real nice on this one. Once again, welcome to AAA.
Man a real bad man. 511, them a madman. She want the whole crew, she a bad one. I look her boyfriend, she abandoned. Air Force white, no crease. Girl every day, me say no peace. Big body girl, me say oh geez. If me have to pick a letter, me say more peas. Man a real bombastic. Money in a pie, money pan plastic. Girl them look fantastic. Make money, live life, that's it. Man a real bombastic. Money in a pie, money pan plastic. Girl them look fantastic. Make money, live life, that's it. Big, live big, make money, 6 fig. Know the girl them, one strip kid. Got the Invictus, well addicted. Big, live big, make money, 6 fig. Know the girl them, one strip kid. Got the Invictus, well addicted.
No lele, if you getting money, better pay straight. We just want the top and we don't play games. It's feeling like my everyday's a payday.
Just give me some tunes before we start the main show. Remember, the subject is today: can the musical course help your musical career?
When they find me, rate it or go highly. Bust it on my wrist and VVS and on my timepiece. I want it so slightly. I'm getting variety. Badding up the scene so I dare brother try me. Tell them flipping labels they can't buy me. Like, no, I'm set apart. You can't buy one light. In my blood you can see it in my flex. Kill another rhythm then I do it all again. She a hot spur but a gunner for me. If you wanna be my lady, be a hunter for me. Do it for the love and I ain't talking money. I just wanna make a million, retire mommy. Spin a melody like do re mi. Calling all these brothers like we okay, see. I'm just in my business while they don't rate me. But I couldn't give a toss cause them I don't pay me. No lele. If you getting money, that's a pay.
DJ Longest.
Feeling like my everyday's a payday. No lele. If you getting money, better pay straight. We just want to top
the warm up before we quit in the show. Let's go.
It's kinda mad that we flex like this. Anywhere we go, you see us flex like that. You see all of my gang do bits. Just know all of my gal them bar. You see the way that she wind those hips. Swear down, Charlie is bar. Shine like a bust down wrist. Talk about shake this, want it be mad. Anywhere we go, shut down setting. All day flex like we just left gym. Spend money like we don't like this thing. Melanin award show, gal you win. Car the champagne's on chillin'. It tastes better when the whole team's winning. Even if you wasting your money, make sure that the team have vision. Yeah, this one it be bad. I said all of my gal them bad. Young fly with the African swag. We spend cheese, then we get it right. Bags, see we make them moves. Come true, shut down with the crew.
Let's go again.
Bring on my shirt and shoes. Take off my roof and grows. She not like you want the pants and shoes. Rude boy, don't be fooled. You know the girl long time. Walk one for that. Walk one. See me on the front line. Me not see you one time. Walk one for that.
If you wasn't driving a BM, you couldn't slide in a DM, that's facts.
That's facts. That's facts.
Our women have nothing, girl love the vibes when me give them, that's facts.
DJ
Me just have to call and me get a free kick. You a get finesse for another free trip. Me a Jenna, she a oxygen for breathe it. Them man rely on the biggest a drip. I don't need drip, fish zip down the zip, down the zip, zip. Whenever she need advice, I slide then I give her the tip. Towing on marble floors, nah. Got her in the trap on all fours. Now for spend cash in the West End, if more I get them.
Bring on my shirt and shoes. Take off my roof and grows. She not like you want the pants and shoes. Rude, even know the girl long time. Think she love you long time. Walk one for that. Walk one. See me on the front line.
Girl, I be the one, I be the owner. Girl, come give it to the owner. Getting recognition like a soldier. Love is the thing that bring me closer. Girl, I be your sponsor and your donor. So why you playing games like Maradona? Girl, we're still young and getting older. So get the UC wet cause I'm the owner.
She want a Gucci, she want a Prada. I want the coochie, call me the father. I made it loose, she made me harder. I put it too deep, I pull her after. Who she bad, who she wanna holler, I'm with the gang. She sent me location like Santan. I'm caveman, make bed look like Bam.
Tell me how you feeling, gone. Been out here on my Gucci, on my lazy time for reparations. You know there ain't no limitation.
Girl, I be the one, I be the owner. Girl, come give it to the owner. Getting recognition like a soldier. Love is the thing that bring me closer. Girl, I be your sponsor and your donor. So why you playing games like Maradona? Girl, we're still young and getting older.
I got a character that need me, want it weekly. Call me Mr. Cheese, I just love it peachy. Bad boy, 5-star, I ain't never PG. She love a tea-bag, come on baby, freaky. Sun shining while she bust it, my steez can't touch it. Always peace and love the when they see me in public. She hate it when I'm friendly with the galley, like stop it.
Keeping the music rolling and moving. Once again, welcome. This is Access All Areas, aka AAA. Your one-stop shop for all you want to know about the music industry. It's educational, man. We got a very, very big panel coming for you today to give you some real good knowledge. Let's do this.
It would be much easier if I was basic, but darling, I can't be no basic. Go find a brother in a suit and replacement. But regardless of your chest, I'm irreplaceable. Oh, maybe I should hang this up now. Not that man's soon be up now. No, I can't let no other brother run this town. And if you see me slacking, better run me down, run me down. If I'm slipping, run me down. If I'm slacking, run me down. Run me, yeah, run me down. Get that money, that's the found. It would go down easier if I would chase it. Bad boy, so you know we don't chase it. Fruit of my labor, baby, yeah, I'm trying to taste it. Just a sample size I've had and I need more. I swear I'm working on my vision, baby, patient. Going back on words 1,000 times, I know it's hard. I know it isn't fair to tell you to be waiting, but my intentions are a reflection of my heart. Maybe I should just hang this up.
I love when the song is different, you know. He goes by the name of Infamous Isaac, and like I said, I love when a song comes out being very, very different, and you know, you can just appreciate it for exactly what it is. Let's do another one from the Mad Doctor himself. Let's do this. Got a popular UK drill in there. Throw him in. Triple A, welcome, let's go.
Come here, come right on his fun fear. When them get this 9-inch, some ball, some swear. Come there, if you don't like him, there's bun here. Some girl come like Air Force, them only get one wear. Back it up, I want you come creep up on me like rum. 10 round me have me can't done like Michael, beat it like drum. How many gal man get on when me start what missing enough of them run? Me have a whole heap of gal and if one slap me I transfer that like young. What's up girl from this pumpy? Calm down baby too jumpy. If you tell one girl for turn over, why? Our face too bumpy. Gal them love me like cook food. Gal them all a ton junkie. I'ma never want break her heart, so me make her feel like she don't me.
Love it when you back it up. Love it when you put it on me. Yeah. Love it when you back it up. Baby, come here, put it on me. Yeah.
Small waist, big back, big cock, make a wig drop. Make money, big whop, nothing else rhyme with that. Girl them, read lock, me drill them, dig that.
Let's go over to New York City. Some New York drill as well.
Just so I can show him my legit. She want Chanel on the top of that bell. I bet you that give her what she want. I was running the CBS just trying to get some blessings and I go and cop a fit. I got 3 words, it's gonna
We international, baby. Let's go.
Step out on these streets, got these big man. I don't like how you moving, boy. Better get bad. Bada bing, bada boom, no chit chat. Get money, you know I'm all about the rags. Oh, please don't take me out my mood. And please don't make me tell my show. He'll go off. I swear to God, he'll prove to you he ain't soft. Oh, wow. I ain't with all the kissing. No. I ain't with all the telling. No. He don't know. Me, you gotta mercy, yo.
If you're tuning in for the first time, then you wouldn't know, that we actually do this in a way that we bring on artists. We ask the artists some questions, we interview them as well, and we also have our panel side of things. So just in a few minutes, we're going to bring on our first artist onto the stage.
DJ Longers.
This is the warm-up, the calm before the storm.
Drink, spiller, brown liquor. Pen girl come from north of the river. She like me and I like her figure. Tell her go cool down simmer. Aye, wanna blow like Bryson Tiller. Get big then get bigger. Now I got business plans trying to make bands and it all starts with the man in the mirror. First things first when I wake up, turn the speaker on. I'm addicted, love this music. Whenever he drink, he's smoking. Whenever I smoke, I choose it. All I know is throwing up peace signs. Believe my side, throwing up music. Now I got business plans like a blueprint. Me and my bro like Andy and Dwight, how we bring brandy and white rum to the table. Gotta stay plugged in, no cable. Tell the DJ spin it like Dreidel. Tryna hit this belly, tryna feed my family, get this grub. I got love for the whole damn city, so I spread this love. I be that drink spiller, brown liquor. Pen girl come from north of the bridge. Red cups, I'm pouring it in. Don't buy if you can't afford it again. I'm gonna blow this year, I'm calling it law of attraction. My word of caution, I fly like Longers. Brown liquor, pen girl come from north of the way. Told cash bro, don't hesitate. This is our year, let's make it all great. I wanna blow like I'm LMA, stay brewed up, cut from the whole elevate. Don't do shows unless I get money, I can't do shows unless I get paid.
Like I said, first live performance coming in just a few minutes. One of my favorite UKs of all time. Gets what's saying.
Yo, what's wrong with these nicks? Man can't tell me about these streets. Man never grew up near no damn beats. Man's got shooters from Mozambique. Shoot off Mozambique. so you lot roll in peace. But if you got something to say, do not hold in, please. They say death comes in twat, so I do not roll in freeze. Are you lot dying to piss? Cause you look like you're holding peas. Pull up, stolen Jeep. Put up, phone the police. Push up your boat and bleed. I heard they cook up the coke and leave. Man's going in there now. I'm just up the road indeed. I swear I search everywhere like I'm looking for phone and keys. Knife in the whip, coke and breeze. Wish your girl never saw that. Poor Candice. 4 man deep, one felt froggy, they saw man leak. Ram told on the young claw that week. Oh, that week, oh, that's weak. DJ Longers. We ain't got a thought that deep. Man think I'm missing a drop. What? I caught that clean.
I don't know, bro, I don't know. Speak this.
Once again, we just got 2 more before we actually bring on our first person onto the stage. We've got a very, very, very big show for you today. Let's get this properly. Let's do this properly. I ain't playing that. Let's go. Once again, my name is DJ Longers. Spelled Longers. Not loners, longers.
Hop out of the coupe with it. Drop top out the roof with it. Bad girls in it too with it. Black cash on me, blue in it. Tap on in the tube with it. I'm back there, run too with it. Hop out of the coupe with it. Drop top out the roof with it. Bad girls in it too with it. Black cash on me, blue in it. Tap on in the tube with it. I'm back there, run too with it. I might hop out of a ghost. Honestly, nobody knows. I get the blast and when they be jacking, I be doing the most. P-Mo, so baby, black cash on me, blue in it. Trap on in the tube with it. I'm about that rum too with it. Telling the public I'm flexing like you loaded and tucked it, I loaded and bust on the size of me nothing. I get it, I'm blowing my bitch knowing that she told me sleep for the day, so I'ma burn it 100. Jamaican, we coming, my youngest be gunning and running that drum, got them ducking and dive. Up on them up, what's the problem? I'ma just hop on the bucket. Got a zip for 150, 200. See my primo, my yatta, he love it. Kill him and dub him like it. Got the grist for the low if you want it. See my gringos pull up with the red shit, drop top blue.
All right, now, just as usual, because you guys are not in front of us, it's not a live studio audience. So what I want you to do is give a virtual round of applause. Do you understand? I mean, wherever you are, just make that appreciation be felt. Do you understand? So we're going to welcome our first performance. She's a lady, and she goes by the name of Leah. So give Leah a massive round of applause. Let's go.
I think it's really unfair that you say all I do is complain, and I'm really unfair that love's down the drain. 'Cause everything you do drives me insane. The way that you walk till you speak, you sound relieving. So if you're gonna be the man that you say you are. If not, let me know, 'cause I won't let it get this far. And I'm running away from a nasty scar, and I'm running away from a broken heart. And I've packed my bags so many times before, but you stopped me from walking out that door. But this time it's different. Cause if I stay, I'll be suffering. Cause my heart's been ill again. And I can't take that no more. No more. No more. So if you're gonna be the man that you say you are. And if not, let me know, cause I won't let it get this far. And I'm running away from a nasty scar. And I'm running away from a broken heart. So if you're gonna be the man to be, I shouldn't have to beg you. I shouldn't have to beg. But I'm asking just this one more time. Unrealistic expectation births a new crowd. You can't hear yourself, your low esteem is way too loud. Maybe a few more likes and then you'll be proud. You won't be happier until you found yourself. Cause you are gold. Cause you are gold. And you are gold. Cause you are gold. Cause they will only build you up just to break you down. Blame you and make it seem like you ain't figured it out. Cause you are gold. Cause you are gold. And everybody's got somebody that they rather be. The grass isn't greener, cause it's not what it seems. They could never walk a mile in their dreams. Cause baby, you got purpose and you were meant to be. Cause you are meant to be. Cause you are gold. Cause you are gold. Cause you are gold. Cause you are gold. Cause they will only build you up just to break you down and blame you and make it seem like you ain't figured it out. Cause the sort of person who falls even quickly out of love. But to you, I gave my affection right from the start. And if I have a lover who loves me, then how could I break such a heart? Yet still, you get my attention right from the start. Why do you come here when you know I got troubles enough? Why do you call me when you know I can't answer the phone? You make me laugh when I don't want to. I make someone else some kind of unknowing fool. You make me stay when I should not. Are you so strong, or is a weakness in me? Why do you come me and pretend that you're just passing by? 'Cause I need to see you, and I need to hold you tightly. Feeling guilty and worried and waking from tormented sleep. This show love has me bound, but the new love cuts deep. If I choose now, I lose out, 'cause one of us has to fall. I need you and you under. Why do you come here when you know I got troubles at home? Why do you call me when you know I can't answer the phone? You make me laugh when I don't want to. I make someone else some kind of unknowing fool. And you make me stay when I should not. Are you so strong, or is a weakness in me? Why do you come here and pretend that you're just passing by when I need to see you, and I need to hold you tightly?
Now, I'm giving this to you live from Talia Studios, but due to COVID and restrictions, we've had to do our interview on location. Okay, so we couldn't actually do it live right here. We had to do it on location, but she's still done a very excellent job. Remember, you can contact me or can get me at DJ Longers. That's at DJ LONGERS on all my socials. Hit me up, have a conversation with me, DM me, and just follow and see what I'm doing where I am. Now, we're going to have our interview and conversation with Leah right about now. Now, that was a strong performance.
Thank you.
Where does that all come from?
Screaming in my bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah, got gilled at the lungs.
Do you have the family to scream at as well?
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
All right, so this is all about music and education.
Mm-hmm.
Give us your views on it.
I think music and education is a valuable thing for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I started off at the Brit School.
Okay.
Everybody, when they were leaving to go do life, they were like, I'm going to jump into the deep end. I'm just going to put myself in the music industry. And I thought, I'm not ready yet, so I might as well continue my study, work on my craft. And along the way, I've met people that in education that has got me opportunities, got me performances, collaborations. So I went on to do studying at uni. So I did a 2-year degree at ACM.
Okay.
And now I'm doing my master's at UWL. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a big jump, but I think it's worth looking at. But obviously, education's not for everyone. But I wouldn't tell people to not look at it for music as well.
So in total, how long has that education spanned?
I'd started doing GCSE music, so that would have been from year 9. So that would have been about 6 years now in education, just studying in music.
And quickly, what would you say that you've taken from the education that you've done in all this?
Learning never stops.
Okay.
And I think the most valuable thing I learned is going to uni, where I did my vocals degree. I had no idea how the voice worked. I had no idea what warming up is.
I didn't even know there was a vocals degree.
Yeah, there is.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So learning more about like the science behind how my voice works and things that I can do to just better myself, really. So that's what I've taken from it.
Okay, so we're going to hear some more music from you in a little while. I'm going to go and do my thing, but, we got to do this collaboration because you ain't heard my voice yet. So, yeah, I'll join you on stage in a little while. So, I have to pin a big, massive thank you to Leah. We're going to see another set from her in just a little while. But first, let me hand you over to this lady who's doing some big things. She's got a show on Reprezent Radio every Friday from 2 till 4. Jay McGregor.
They've asked us to open your mute when we start.
Sorry, Breeze, what did you say?
So there's a message in the chat that says we should keep it on mute right at the beginning.
Right, so we are beginning the panel segment of the AAA Access All Areas Impact Seminar. We're talking about the music business and education. Goes hand in hand sometimes. So I would like to find out, can an educational course help your music career? Now, my name is Jay McGregor and I'm your host. I'm a radio and TV presenter who you often find on Reprezent Radio. And I have got an amazing panel of industry icons, experts, legends that have all come together to share their knowledge and really help answer this question. So I'm going to give you a run through of who we've got. So first up, we have Stush, recording artist and ACM tutor, legendary performing artist, singer, songwriter from South London. Got to give her a book for the South Side. And she's had a variety of hits, top 10 singles, performed all over the world, from festivals to live events and more. Currently, she's working on new material for her upcoming mixtape, and her latest track, Men I Deal With, that is going crazy. She's also an ACM tutor, so I'm very excited to hear your perspective as an artist in the industry and someone who is giving back the knowledge to the youth as well. Next up on our panel, we have got Breeze, who is the owner of Student Life, who's an author and recording artist from South again. Give a from everyone from South today. And he's performed worldwide with a fusion of hip-hop, jazz, Afrobeat, so really diverse in bringing those sounds together. And if you're wondering, what is Student Life? Student Life is a hip-hop education organisation that works with young people across the UK, and it's got a mission to help improve self-confidence and learning experience through rap and poetry and workshops, really about helping young people all over the world. And if you're feeling a bit of breeze, just released a 5-track EP called Arise and Shine, and his second book entitled Diary of a Creative Mind. So very, very busy up in here. Now, next up, we've got Michelle Escoffrey, who's the owner of Student Life, as well as an author, a recording artist, an Ivor Novello award-winning singer, songwriter, and vocal producer that's got over 3 decades of experience in the music industry. I'm sorry, did we just say Ivor Novello award winners? So we got some special guests up in here. This is some big things that are going on. I gotta give you a round of applause for that one. I'm really excited to see Michelle's perspective of things, because she's also currently sitting on the board of directors for PRS for Music as a writer-director, and on the board of trustees for the PRS Foundation, as well as leading modules for Tired Education on the Commercial Songwriting and Production Postgraduate MA degree program. Now, next up, we've got Godwin Tom, who's the CEO at Music Business Africa and artist manager. Now, Godwin's one of Africa's entertainment industry's biggest agents of change, with over 12 years experience as a talent manager and business development exec, and over 18 years as an artist and talent manager. Godwin has contributed immensely to the African music industry and has worked with some of Africa's biggest talents. Now, not that he's not busy or anything doing all of that, he's also all about helping young people and develop their vision to create a more informed and employable workforce for Africa's growing music and entertainment industry, whether that's through mentoring and schemes, you know, making sure they get that experience that is so needed within the industry. Now, we've also got Kenja, who's an assistant head of school arts and principal lecturer for music law at the University of Westminster. Now, we was having a little conversation off mic, and he's dropped some gems of some amazing artists that have passed through the doors at the University of Westminster. So he's probably seen it all, from the legal side to the music side and media law. He's worked over the years in the major and the independent sectors of the music industry, and has been all over the world, from Finland to Russia, to being a visiting professor in China, Beijing, where he teaches global music industry management. So you've got that global perspective on things that I'm very excited to get into. And we've also got Wisdom, head of Tired Impact. Wisdom is a guy that you need to know, and it's all about championing young people and young talent into actually getting the physical experience and education they need from within the industry, taking it from the inside out. So we have got a lovely lineup of panelists who I'm very excited to talk to. How are we all doing? Are we okay? Give me a wave if you're with me. Lovely. I'm getting used to this kind of Zoom paneling, and it's really, really engaging to see that we're going to be getting into questions that are so important, especially for those young people who are looking to take their next steps into education. Now, I've got some questions to answer, some questions to ask, and a Q&A that's going to come from the audience. Are you guys ready? Give me another thumbs up. Good to go. So feel free to jump in at any time if you've got the knowledge or you've got the need to answer any of the questions that are going, because they're very broad and you guys come from all aspects of the music industry. So it's great to see that you guys can answer it from a multitude of levels. Now, my first question is, can an educational course really help your music career? Who's going to kick us off?
I don't mind starting. Hello, everybody. It's really great to be here, and thank you for Access All Areas. For inviting me. I think it's an interesting question, and I think it's it very much varies, the answer, depending upon which sector of the industry or the music industry you want to go into. I think it's arguably the case that, you know, people come along or you know, organically talented as performers. And for those people, for example, and there's a wealth of knowledge about how many of those have been successful over the history of the music industry. And the answer to that for them potentially is no. You know, it's about their skill, it's about their talent. But I think it's one of the things that I'm very focused on is the industry side, the business side, the legal side, the accountancy side, the marketing, and those other things which are also incredibly important when it comes to making a successful artist and promoting a successful artist. By no means am I arguing that you need that in order to be successful, and potentially you can't be. But for those areas, there is a growing need for professionalism. There's a growing need for people to have actually done law or accountancy if they're going to do these things properly. And what I would argue is that there are people who go into law degrees and then want to specialize in entertainment and media. And I think, you know, if you're going to be successful in those areas of the music industry, then having an education is incredibly important. But again, even in those areas, I've come across in all the years that I've been working in the industry, people who have not been through any kind of formal education process, but who have picked this up along the way. And that's been the nature of the music industry over its growth. And that is that there are people who have come from, you know, really strange areas of activity and have actually transitioned into being really effective music industry executives, and they've actually effectively taught themselves. Do you know what I mean? They've taught their way through, they've picked up things that they can do. They've transferred knowledge from wholly different industries or different areas into what they do in the music, and have managed to make a success of it. So it's a very difficult question. It's not that education is essential. I think that actually, it is one of those things about how you use your knowledge, and where you gain your knowledge can be from any area. I mean, I'd like to say that, there's a number of people who've come through me who've gravitated towards the legal aspects of the music industry, who would never have done that if they hadn't come through an educative process. So it is variable. I think the answer to that, I don't know. That's my personal view.
Does anyone have anything to add on the quality of the education that you're receiving? As you said, it's not all about just being educated, but it's the quality of the resources and the things that you have access to if you do want to educate yourself to get a career in the music industry.
I do think it is very much, I think a lot in the music industry is about the environment that you're around. And I think that's key. If you are around the right groups of people, if you're around people who have knowledge that is very current, then that education is very, very useful to you. I think the complaints about music education have often been when you may have had a tutor that was involved in the industry maybe 10, 20 years ago, then things have moved on to some extent, and they don't have relevant contacts for now, and they don't have an understanding of some of the, I sometimes call them the dark arts of how the music industry works, like Spotify playlisting and Google ads and these other bits that go on behind, ooh, I am a singer, I sing good, people should hear it. I think that there's a real need for there to be a level of education in that. However, there's some stuff that moves so quickly, you almost can't write courses for it. You just kind of have to be there and in the know. And I think that that's where sometimes it is a challenge about how do you keep a course that has to be written, because the way that the education system works is, here is a block of knowledge, here are a group of people, we will shove knowledge into a group of people. And the issue is that knowledge is changing so rapidly. How does it keep up? And I think that that's sometimes the thing, and it's like, what do you know? What do you mean by the education part of it? Are you saying, I'm going to be in this environment, whether it's a university or a college, where it just happens to be that there are a number of creative industries, people who are at the cutting edge, who I can learn from, and I can get an understanding of, so that I can go out there and do it? Or am I just accumulating all of this knowledge? So I think that those are sometimes the challenges.
Can I ask all panelists who here went through any sort of formal education that contributed to their career? It'd be really interesting to find that out, because you've all got varying different jobs and experiences of the industry.
I wanted to add to that. So I'll answer this question adding to what they said. So I studied business management. So it kind of makes sense that I work as a talent manager. But also I think as Wisdom said, education here is a broad word that could be taken in multiple contexts. So if for example, I have artists who register for my program, they don't want people to know they registered for my program, but they're there because for some of them, they're like, look, I want to learn about the cause on music and the law. I want to understand publishing and licensing. Some other people are like, how does marketing work? And so they register for specific things. And I remember an artist telling me, I think my label is taking advantage of me. And I would like to know, there's a part of your program that talks about contracts, and I would like to know what questions I should be asking. So for an artist who is interested in their development, maybe looking at it from a loose, maybe not defining education from the perspective of the university, but looking at it from okay, I need to learn this specific thing, who's teaching it right now, and what's the credentials, or what's the work the person who's teaching it has done that I can trust the information that they're giving me. So that's another, but I think it's important. So while most of the industry activities are practical or need to be practical, it's important for you to actually learn the principles as well.
Can I just add one thing to what Godwin has said as well, and maybe as a help, as a qualifier to what I was saying earlier, I think it's important that everybody has an understanding of the industry that they work in. And what I meant by sort of maybe education not necessarily being essential for somebody to be a successful performer, I think it's important that they also know and receive education through whatever process. And again, the question of the definition of education is potentially a contested issue because people learn in different ways. And we can talk about formal education, we can talk about education through sort of short courses, and we could talk about self-education. You know, those are things that are really, really important. I think I've come across far too many musicians, artists who would benefit from actually having a very good grounding in understanding their business. I mean, an analogy that I use is very often in the classroom is that of the mechanic and the broken down car. Everybody out there can drive a car, but do you know the workings of the combustion engine? How it actually works? So you go to a professional mechanic and the mechanic scratches their heads and charges you an exorbitant amount of money without you having an understanding. Do you see? And if you have an understanding of how you want a deal to go, or you have an understanding about how you want your music promoted, and you go to a professional and you know how or what's broken and what needs to be fixed, then you're in so much more of a powerful position. Then, you know, going back to the mechanic is faced with somebody who's just saying, look, I want my big end fixed, I want my spark plugs fixed. They know that they can't take the mickey. Do you follow me? So in some ways, you have so much more power as a musician or a creative that has an understanding of the industry and the context that you work in. So you can know what it is that you want from a manager. You can begin to establish what your objectives are. You can begin to discern who is a good lawyer and who's not a good lawyer, who's a good accountant and who isn't. And you can start to determine your own path as a successful creative. So for those people, I think it's incredibly important that they have that knowledge.
I'd say I totally agree with that, because as a performer, I went in blind on the business side. So it's like I went in and it was great. I could throw myself into performing. I knew how to do that. But when it came to, okay, we want to sign you now, I didn't know what to look out for. And then you had things like, okay, PRS. These are things I had to pick up along the way. Some people will tell you and explain things to you. Some people won't. So I think it's important on the educational side as an artist to be able to learn about things like that before entering into the industry. Like I said, sometimes you've got good people that will guide you, but a lot of the time you're just in there, just blind. So yeah, I would agree with you. It's like, how do I know what a good manager is? I didn't know at the time, you know. How do I know how to read this contract? Now I can look at a contract and go, oh, that don't look right to me. But that's from years of like having to teach myself, maybe going to musicians union, showing them my contract. They say to me, no, that's not right. Bringing it to my teacher at the Brit, Arthur Bolton, he used to look over stuff for me and he'd be like, Stoosh, what's this? This isn't right. Don't sign it. So that's how I got to learn about certain things. But I didn't do a music course. But I feel like if I did, those are the things I would have been able to pick up on going in as an artist. Performing, yeah, you can be taught certain things about staging, but inevitably, I think that comes from in your soul. If you can perform, you can perform. You watch videos. I would watch Tina Turner and all these other artists, and that's how I picked up how to perform. But no one taught me that in an educational establishment. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. Coming up as a hip hop artist, it was all about learning yourself. You have to learn the business side of things. You have to learn about putting the track together, all of these different things. So when we talk about education, it's important to look at well, for me, I think it's important to look at education holistically. Some people, like Wisdom said earlier on, some people learn better in certain ways. Sometimes a classroom isn't the best way for some people to learn. Sometimes it's on the job. And but there are some key elements of the industry where it pays for you to actually take a course, or in fact, you need to take a course. And I think when I was coming up in the game, I wasn't aware of any courses. I think there were some workshops at the time, but there were no, which is
Funny enough, I went into doing workshops later on, but there were no courses. But as time has gone on, you see, I guess not formal courses, but courses on YouTube, or you see some, music gurus putting together specific courses, whether it's around marketing your music, whether it's around publishing, and I'm seeing more and more courses coming up now around playlisting and stuff like that. So it's about finding what's the element that you need to learn, and what's the best way to do that. Is it a formal education, or is it looking for a course? And there are many courses nowadays that are specific in what you need.
I think, and just jumping on the back of that, I think the other side of that is we have to also remember that our industry is a little bit like magic. The front end of it, we only want people to see the performance. So a lot of people aren't aware of the back end, and a lot of people aren't aware of to have Ed Sheeran on stage in Wembley, even though it's him one and a loop pedal, there's like 300-400 people involved in putting that stage together, doing the marketing, doing the lighting, doing the sound, and all those other things. And I think that sometimes there is an ignorance that goes forward as I just want to perform, and you don't have the understanding that, as Stush was saying, there is all this other stuff that until the curtain has been pulled back a bit, that you really wouldn't know about from the outside. And I really think that that's a place where music education can really make a difference in helping people understand, like you say, PRS, PPL, collection societies, what publishing is, all these other bits and pieces that are going on in the background. That's really, really key, but sometimes you don't see until you're actively doing it.
And also, the courses, I think the advice for anyone looking to do an educational course would be, is it going to make you industry ready? Because there's lots of courses out there that you go through however many years of education and you're still not industry ready. You come out and it's like, well, actually, we wouldn't employ you, or we're not going to give you that attention because you're not ready for the industry. So sometimes being thrown in the deep end and learning on the fly gets you ready to be in the industry. Back, I'm going to sound old now, but back in the day when you had development deals and you were literally training for a year plus, all of these elements, the stagecraft, the business, the media training, all these things to become ready to face the industry or to face the public. And sometimes that's a disparity now in courses. They're trying to single out people and say, right, this is the next star, this is the next gem, but they've missed out the detail of what does it take to be industry ready. And that's really, I think, something that, like Wisdom said, we need to focus on. What are the skills that will get you the soft skills, but also the hard skills that will get you to be industry ready on any level? That's really the thing that we need to be more focused on.
That's so true, Michelle, because I had certain friends that I went straight in at the deep end. I came out of Brit School and I just started performing. My song just blew up. I had to just get in there. But then I had other people that I knew that went into further education. They done their 3 years, came out and were lost. They were like, Stush, how do I maneuver? Can you hook me up? Who do I talk to? They just didn't know what to do. And it was almost like their degree meant nothing. It didn't mean anything because they had no experience. They didn't know where to start. Some people who had interned maybe at a record label though, and went just threw themselves straight into it, they were far along. They've got all these contacts. They knew what to do. The people who went to uni for music didn't really work out, whether it was like music management. And to this day, they're sitting on degrees that they've had to go into different jobs. Literally, that has nothing to do with music. So, yeah, I agree with you. Are you ready? Are you industry ready? Are you ready to go? And a lot of them weren't. And it's like they feel like their time was wasted. So
I think there's a big thing about transferable knowledge as well. And actually people maybe not understanding that actually you can learn something in, say, marketing or whatever, and you can go and do a degree in marketing and how you can apply that to the music industry, because there are very, I'm not saying that disciplines are all the same, but you go and do a marketing degree and you learn how to sell rotten bananas, for example, and then you try and think, transfer that into, or selling any kind of commodity, and then thinking about how you can sell records from that. Do you know what I mean? Because some of the disciplines are the same. Do you know what I mean? You can sell things. And actually, it also helps people after their careers to be able to do other things. You can learn things in the music industry. I mean, there's lots of things that you can learn how to do that you can transfer into wholly different areas of work afterwards. And it helps to sustain you as an artist or as somebody who's an executive in the business, knowing that you can do something as hardcore as selling something as difficult as that.
That brings me on to talking about the hands-on experience versus the kind of bits of education and formal education that you can get, because there's a kind of a catch-22. You can do this education, as just said, and come out and still have no clue where to take your first steps, versus going in with no education. Sometimes it's luck and other times it's who you know and what you know, and managing to come out with great experiences and then still not having a clue. So it really does depend. Now, for you personally, how much would you say of the experience itself and just doing it was better compared to getting the actual guidance? I'm really interested, especially from Godwin and Breeze, who you help young people especially get those first-hand experiences, as well as wisdom as well from the inside out of the industry.
Okay, so I'll start. The experience was probably the most essential part of my development. For most people, school is the job. But the best way to describe this is when you're describing school and what you learn from the internet, for example. The internet is this vast platform where you can learn anything, including the wrong thing, right? There are no checks, right? So I could get online, I could get on 10 different websites and they could tell me 10 different things. What school does, however, is it checks you, right? So school says, here's what you need to learn now. Here's what you need to master, which is why you have your continuous assessments and your exams. So this is what you need to learn. This is what you need to master. And when you've learned and mastered these things, we're going to give you new things to learn and new things to master. And I think putting those two together, where we're in a space where we're able to learn as much as we can, but also have that check for things we need to focus on. Because that leads you to, I remember joining the industry and not being sure if I wanted to be a manager or a PR person or an A&R or I wanted to be everything because I was hustling, right? So I felt like, I could do all these different jobs in bits and in pieces, but I ended up failing at a lot of them because I wasn't mastering. I'm not one of those people that say you can have only one talent and that's it. I'm sort of but I feel like learning each part of the job was part of my growth, being able to see what I was doing. And then when you transfer that knowledge to people, especially now, young people don't care what you say. They care more about what you do. So it's really looking at you and saying, what have you done, right? I want to see how I can reference what you've done or what you're doing to what you're asking me to do as well. I need to believe that you know what you're telling me to do. So the experience has been the most essential part of it. What school did for me was help me understand concepts and principles and define things. But what experience did for me was to practicalize. You put that knowledge into practical use and say, okay, so I see how pricing strategy works with, when I book artists, when I put an artist, when I'm sitting and negotiating an endorsement deal or a performance deal for my artist, I can see how the pricing strategy or how I can price that particular artist's fee helps me. So it's learning those things and putting it in use. That's experiences has always been the best thing.
Sorry.
You go.
Okay. I was just going to say, I'm coming from an interesting perspective. So one, I'm an artist and I carry out workshops in schools, primary schools, secondary schools, and colleges. So I'm kind of speaking to young people before they're even embarking on a career. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing to them hip hop 101. So I'm telling them this is well, that's where I'm coming from. So I'm bringing to them the history of hip hop, and then I'm breaking down some of the stereotypes or myths that they may have. So I come in, when I go into a school, when I started going into schools, people expecting some sort of gangster, and I had to break that down first of all and let them know that, you know what, this thing that you're celebrating now actually started from here, and it comes from a long lineage of skill and thought and heritage. There's a big heritage that comes with it. And I had to break down the difference between being on a major label and being an independent artist. They'd never heard of the concept of an independent artist, because they only wanted to know, why aren't you on what's those talent shows?
X Factor,
Pop Idol, and X Factor, and all of that. Yeah, so that's what they know. If they don't see you, then, and you're not popping like that, then are you even an artist? So I had to break down what it means to be an independent artist. And when I would break down the maths of what it means to be on a major and be an independent artist. So you have a CD that you've made, and if you're on a major label, you may make £1 from that £10 CD. Whereas if you're an independent artist, you make everything, or let's say you make £8, £7. So when they started to understand that, then it was a bit more clearer, the whole, I guess the whole picture of what it means to be an artist. And hip hop or music, half of the thing about music is it's all about networking and experience. Like, you can only know certain things when you're doing it, and you can't really be taught networking. You have to practice networking. So some of these things you actually have to do, as well as being taught fundamentals of other things as well.
Yeah, just to agree with Breeze and jump off the back of that, I came up with this thing called SANE, which is skills, attitude, networks, and experience was what someone needed to survive the industry. You needed to be sane. It has its own sort of jokes within it, if you know the industry. I found a lot of education was just concentrating on skill. So you can teach someone skills in a classroom. What I found was the challenge was that the other three areas, having the attitude, having the networks, and having the experience, wasn't necessarily being done very, from my point of view, so well in an education setting. And I come from a background where I was an artist, then I went into being a youth worker and running art showcases around London, and finding that we were finding and developing talent, but that then had nowhere to go. And as a result of that, I got involved in creating a big music project. And then I helped open Elam School, which is like a Brit in East London, with Will from Chasing Status. And all of those things were better ways of educating young people about their creative talents and where to go with it. But then I found the issue was most of them, it all stopped when they finished education and didn't have enough links into industry. And I saw the difference that was made in Elam, because Will was physically still doing Chasing Status whilst he was opening a school. And he would literally play together in Ibiza with Chasing Status on a Tuesday night, fly back, do his music technology class, do a teacher-parent conference, and then fly back to Ibiza. And like, he would give them stems from songs that he actually physically had just released so that they could remix. And I saw how important it was to be as close to the cutting edge of the industry as possible, because they were able to use his contacts going on from the school in a way that when I left Brit, that didn't happen so much. We just kind of left and went into the world. So my reason for going for working at Taleyard was to be in the industry and open that out so that you could have industry level experience whilst in education. Because personally, I would love to see a uni course do something like, right, here's the $9,000 that you've just put into it. Let's give you that. Go make an album. Like, come back to us.
Yeah.
Let me see how it's done. I'll get you around the right people who you're going to need to do your promotions with and everything else. You're going to have to learn to work with these guys. And if you piss one of them off, you may never work with them again. And they may tell everybody that you're not a good person to work with. Because that for me was the reality of the industry, was how I behaved and the attitude I had. And then because I kept finishing stuff, and that's also a real thing, like the more stuff I finished, it meant that more people took me seriously, because all of a sudden I had this catalog of albums and performances and music videos that could show that I was serious about delivery on the thing that I did. And I think that that's for me where I've tried from an industry side to kind of get that message out there.
I just want to come on the back of that, because that is just so important. So universities all around the world now are beginning to understand that same concept, that actually, there's an old Confucian saying that there's no better way of learning than actually doing. And so, I've taught an institution in Japan called the Soka Institution, the Soka University, which is founded on this idea of almost a Buddhist principle, which is actually you learn how to do things, you learn the skills. So you attain sort of practical experience in doing things, and then you move to the next level. So it's not like a fake sort of, I learn how to do accounts or I learn how to do marketing. It's actually demonstrating that. And so what we do in universities now is, and I've developed this program now around the music industry, which allows students to be able to go through actually going through the process. So we have a university where we have business students and we have creative students. And what we try and do, I mean, Michelle knows about this. She has taught at Westminster, but we have a way of those business students working with those creatives even while they're on the course. So for example, some of our business students will find some of the creative students to manage, and they'll manage those artists. And as they're managing those artists, they'll be learning the skills. And the cool thing about some of that activity in the university is that actually it's a really safe place to fail. Whereas if you're outside because there's so much learning that comes from failing. We all know that, right? You learn, you fail, you learn how to do something and you do it better again. There's no better place than doing that in an institution like a university that potentially has money to be able to set up incubators that can put people through a process where they're actually learning, running around, negotiating with each other. So we have people, for example, who even when they enter the institution already know that their mindset is, I want to set up a small independent label. So why don't they start doing that from an early stage at institution? We already do that at Westminster. In lots of ways, we try and achieve that collaborative spirit between those people. So they're actually doing things. If they fall down and they fail, then at least it isn't a huge loss. We can teach them about how they should do things correctly. They'll do projects based on this, and then they'll come through even better. So when they graduate, a lot of them have already had that experience. We have an incredible number of students who are already performing as managers or whatever, even before they graduate. Do you know what I mean? We have that, a lot of that happening. And I think that's where certainly music institutions should be focused on, is giving people both things. One, the academic underpinning. By the way, I do subscribe to the idea you can't actually teach how to do the industry, but what you can teach are the building blocks that then somebody can be creative about putting together into forming their business strategy, how they go forward. So actually, in lots of ways, there is no better place than an institute. I mean, I often, one of the things I will even go as far as to say, and that is that, we're an institution of failure. And that's a controversial thing to say. But actually, when you think about it, students should be allowed to fail and learn in those institutions. And the music industry and the creative industries as a whole, there's no better way to teach somebody how to be successful in the music industry or the creative arts or anything like that than giving them a space to do that kind of work and actually learn. And then some of them actually work with people who are in industry, already work with executives. The number of students that actually come in already, on the brink of a deal. I mean, I did one only a few months ago for a student who was actually just in the middle of negotiating a deal with executives who I actually knew on a major label, and they were in the second year of their degree. Do you see what I mean? And actually, so they were able to learn through going through that process, but also to be able to share that experience with others in the lecture room was just an amazing thing. So I agree. I think it's a mix of learning how by doing, but also at the same time understanding the theoretical rudiments that underpin the activities of what they're doing.
Thank you. It's really clear that we need the education and the experience to work hand in hand, and the support to follow up after, so that once you do have the experience, you have somewhere to take it and somewhere to go with it. Now, we will be getting into a Q&A very, very shortly, but my last question before we do that is now going to talk about the quality of the teaching. Now, a lot of you are educators, tutors, practitioners who do have, you know, the kind of fates of young people in their hands. And for someone that just graduated last year, if my £9,000 was spent, like you were saying, Wiz and Kienda, I'd be very happy right now and in a lot less debt. So the question is the quality of teaching any good, or are the people teaching it failed artists or executives? And by that word failed, it doesn't mean unsuccessful as such. Would anyone like to bravely kick this off?
Well, no, I think it's a mix. I think, seriously, Jay, I think, sorry to jump in, but I think, you know, the question about the quality of teaching, it will vary. It will vary. There will be places, there's a very hard, what we call education economy right now, and where institutions are getting bums on seats. That's the priority. And for those institutions, and there's a lot of them that we can potentially talk about, that's their main emphasis, is about making money. That's part of the process. So they'll do whatever they need to do to get people in their seats and potentially not focus on the delivery or the quality of it. But there are other institutions where the teachers are driven by a real desire. They're you know, and actually the whole thing about failed musician, failed artist, failed executive is an interesting and contested question. Because actually, if you've got somebody who has actually done really well, quote unquote, and actually has done what they can do in terms of what they want to do, and has that valuable experience to bring, then that's a really good experience. I tend to suggest that all of the people that I really want to teach on a music course are people who are actually still doing it. So the idea, not that they've done it, but they're actually doing it. Now that's a quality that we look for. I think that there are courses that deliver incredibly good programs, incredibly good experiences, and I think that we need to be careful about that, you know, but recognize that there are courses where the quality is very questionable, and where people are really sort of, you know, it just depends on where you go to be. And that's what I would say to people is, when you are choosing a course, do your homework. Find people who've graduated from the course. Speak to people who've done the program. Try and get a word with the tutors. Go to the open days. Do you know what I mean? Speak to people and get a sense of, you're doing a music course. You know it's a difficult subject to be taught. So try and give yourself the confidence before you sign up. And that's really important. And, you know, really don't mind answering questions from anybody that wants to know the real detail or the ins and outs of how the course is delivered. That's what we're here to do. So, you know, I think you know, you really have to do your work if you really want to take a course.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that. So there's something I always say to people, right? People say that people love using this quote, like, those who can do, those who can't teach. The truth is, the best people are those who can teach what they do. And it's important for us to understand and have that opening for them as well. I have a class that early stages of my training, I would teach people. I'll tell them what I was teaching, and then I would go for 30 minutes just talking rubbish. 30 whole minutes just talking nonsense. And what happens at the end is you can see the guys who actually went in to do research and study, because they're the ones who are going to tell you, oh, excuse me, that makes no sense. And you can see how that plays out with how people do the research before they actually join a program. So if I tell you, look, I'm teaching you about marketing, you're not looking at what I'm doing with my marketing. You're not looking at the work I've been able to do myself. It's just like, okay, I've been looking for marketing, then you're to blame for being taken advantage of. So it's important that there's some research on your end as well, as a musician or as a business person in the industry, checking whoever is claiming to give you information. You know, nobody is going to go to a guy who's broke to teach him about making money. So why would you go to someone who knows nothing about the industry to teach you about the industry?
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing. There are people that can teach, and there are people that can't teach. Now, if you've got someone who can't teach teaching you, you're in trouble. So I think, and this is probably for the people looking to do a course and for the people actually doing the courses, I think it's important to have guest speakers or practitioners who are doing the thing that you're teaching, because you may be good at teaching something, but you might not be clear on the nuances around that thing. Like whatever's going on in the industry right now, you may not be up to date with it. But if you have someone that is, and you can bring that person in, I think that's key. So any course you're doing, try and find out how relevant is this information I'm going to get taught, and also know what it is that you want to learn, because you might want to learn something very specific, and if they're not bringing that, then it's a waste of time.
I wanted to just go back to the failed artist thing. I was in hip hop group called Green Jade. We were well known within the Christian rap world and to some extent in the rap world as well. And we've done 4 albums, we performed at the Olympics and everything else. But I made no money in like 17 years. And it got to a point where my missus was like, right, show me one thing in this house that Green Jade had paid for. And I could not answer. And it was heartbreaking. And came to the end of my career. We decided we'd come to the end in 2010. And I looked back on it and I was like, well, I failed. Do you know what I mean? I don't have a Bentley outside. I've still got a mortgage to pay. Do you know what I mean? I don't have anything that really financially shows that I did all of this stuff. And I was in a really depressed state as a result of it. And then I was like, I need to understand why that was, because I felt I was good. And I've got evidence that shows that I was good. And it took me on a journey to kind of learn a little bit more about my industry and what I was doing. But it also brought me into contact with a couple of people who knew me from the band. And I was like, and they would be like, oh, how are you after Green Jade? And I'd be like, oh, I'm a bit nah. And they were like, no, don't do that. You achieved this, and this. And I needed almost then to have somebody else's perspective on what I had achieved other than my own. And I found for a lot of artists, because we start with this thing of, and I'll speak for myself, I want to be Jay-Z. And that didn't happen. It was almost feeling like I was a failure because that one thing didn't happen. And I couldn't see the other things. And I couldn't see the other skills that I'd learned. I didn't see that I'd become a video director. I wasn't looking at it as, hey, I ran a label for 5 years. I ran studios. Do you know what I mean? I'd done all of these other things. I'd executive produced like 10 albums in that period of time. And when I began to see the value in that, I was then in a position to be able to do what I do now, which is kind of try and help young talent get an understanding and a mindset that helps you be successful within this industry. And I don't mean just Beyonce success. I mean achieving the thing that you set out to do, whether that is just writing for another artist while you have a day job and knowing that having a day job and being an artist doesn't make you a failure. Those kind of things that were never really discussed, I found to be really, really important to be able to get across within the teaching that I try and do. And in a similar way to Godwin, I try to do something called opportunities training when I start with people to give them an understanding how to make the most of the opportunities that come, because sometimes this industry is less about applications. You don't apply to just get jobs. You need to know when the opportunity is there and make the most of it. And I think that mindset thing is really important within that.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's great to know that the word failed is not in the common sense that you think just because you didn't end up like Jay-Z. And the teachers that we do have practicing and the workshops and the classes that you guys are doing are genuinely coming from such a good place and the relevant experience to the industry as it moves today, because you are also heavily involved. Now, we've got loads of people on the live stream and we've got some questions from the audience. Is that all right to start with that, guys? Now, these are directed to everyone, so feel free to jump in if you feel most suited. But we're going to go through the first one, which is from Georgia. And Georgia says, during these tough times with COVID, the economy is basically stuck. Even internship positions require previous experiences. How do we overcome that, especially if you're newly graduated and you don't have that substantial work experience? Does anyone have any advice for Georgia?
Undoubtedly, the industry, like so many other industries, is going through some significant changes now. And the thing is that, you know, it does present some very hard choices. And for those areas of the industry which are creative, it's even more difficult. I can't tell you how many industry partners that take interns from our university have had to tell us in the last few weeks that they can no longer do that. And we've had to try and find ways of getting around that issue. I think one of the things, though, that's really important to understand, and it's in no way, Georgia, actually represents or matches the experience of having an internship, but it's about trying to think creatively how you can use social media, the digital platforms, and those other things that exist right now to garner some kind of knowledge by others about what you do. So instead of putting yourself out into the marketplace in a way that you would do with an internship, the platforms that exist now allow us to do things. So, for example, starting to blog around issues or to build up a recognition for somebody who has an opinion about music is actually the platforms allow you to do that in a really great way. So, you know, I would always encourage, and I'm encouraging students right now this term on programs to try and replace that experience by getting them to look entrepreneurially rather than to be employed. It may interest you to know that it's always been a fact that the biggest employer of musicians in the UK is the British Army for marching bands. And that's a shocking thing to know, but actually it's an absolute statistic. Musicians and artists particularly are not employed usually. And that relationship that exists with people is wrong. There's a perception that you can be employed. But so therefore, I think for us as institutions, we have to look how we can create that entrepreneurial activity within people. And that means, for example, if you're on the business side, even just setting up a little blog, making comments or reviews on material out there potentially can get you recognized in a way that, you know, that might not otherwise happen. You can use the platforms for putting yourself out into sort of, you know, helping people with aspects of marketing or what have you. All of those things, but you have to have the drive yourself now, I'm afraid, in order to be able to utilize those digital platforms in order to put yourself out there to get the kind of experience that you would get if you were being employed. You know, it's a changing nature of the industry, and it does require a certain degree of self-motivation in order to be able to do those things. And I can't tell you, it is hard, and you're right, but that's the way that we're driving students. And actually the successes are incredible when people are motivated entrepreneurially rather than looking for employment. Employment, I think people on the panel will agree, employment within the music industry has generally been a contested thing anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's very much been about who you know and you know, who knows you. So why not use the opportunity to make people know who you are by finding ways to put yourself out there?
Yeah, I was going to add to that as well, and I don't know if this answers your question directly, but this period that we're going through, it may be an opportunity just to focus on your creativity, focus on getting a plan together for when things kind of do get back to normal, so to speak. But I find that as a creative, sometimes you don't have this kind of opportunity to really plan and actually really just put in those 10,000 hours of your craft and perfecting what you're doing before presenting yourself. So even though you may be in a rush to try and go for something, it may just be that you use this time in another creative way as well.
And I think as well, if you're going on some of the things that Kianda was saying, if you're up and coming, and especially if you want to work behind the scenes, find an artist with probably less than 10,000 followers on Instagram and DM them and say, can I help? you know, and you might find that there's various different things that you can do to help. You can help them schedule their Instagram posts. You could help them with their Spotify and how they go about uploading stuff and all of those sorts of things, and finding digital distribution, and maybe speaking to blogs and finding blogs that would like their stuff and all of that kind of thing. That is experience, and especially because it's real world. And most of those artists that have got 2,000 to 5,000 followers on Instagram don't have the money to pay someone to do that necessarily, and need it, and are probably struggling to try and do it themselves. So there's a whole heap of people out there that you could help, because all of that is your experience, that you come out of lockdown and go, well, I helped XYZ get this amount of streams on Spotify when they were only doing this amount before. I've, you know, done Google ads for someone, which meant that they got 17,000 views on Google for their single their video that they've put out. If you can say those numbers, that you've been involved in something, you become not only employable, because I think sometimes it's about making jobs, not taking jobs, you know, and that's the beauty of the creative industry. We can actually make the employment ourselves. And I think if you can get into that mindset, it will really be helpful.
Just to add to what Wisdom said, even still, you can target artists that have been established for a while as well, because some of them struggle with social media. A lot of the artists that have been there for a decade or two, they're like, oh, social media, oh, Twitter, really? Oh, I've got to post on Instagram. How do I get content? A lot of them are just like, oh, cannot be bothered with social media. Why do we have to do that when we had record selling? We didn't have to do any of this. So, you know, if you target those people, you'll see that they've got a wide network as well that you can tap into. And I'm sure they'd help you tap into that if you help them. So that's just another idea to add on.
Also, as well, though, sorry, Godwin.
No, go ahead, please.
We come with a good plan, because a lot of artists get hit up every day. Improve your Instagram posts. Oh, increase followers, do this, do that, you know, get played on Spotify. So come with a good plan, even if it is to say, oh, I'm a graduate, this is what I graduated in, and I can help you to do this. I'd love to have a conversation with you, rather than just like trying to do I can get you more followers. Because I'll speak for myself personally, I get posts like that every single day, and I delete. I ignore them, and the first thing I do is go to their page and go, okay, you got 200 followers, delete. So if you are going to approach artists or execs, come with a plan and be honest about where you're at and where you want to go, and see if you can collaborate.
Another thing I'd like to add is maybe also try to practice the thing you want to do for yourself. As Michelle just said, like if you tell me you can help me get 5,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 followers, I'm going to look at your followers, right? So it's important that you might want to look at that as well. I'll give you a practical example. I've been, over the pandemic, the period, we're still in it, but when it started, I was telling artists, you know, you don't go to war when the war starts. You don't prepare for war when it starts. You prepare before. So if you're trying to get work and you're trying to get a job, it's what you've been doing that people are going to jump on. So if you are able to build followers for artists, you want to also show them this is how you can get it. Like I remember having conversations with a couple of artists, and I said, look, if we can get in Nigeria, right? So I'm going to say Naira, if we can get 2,000 followers of your 1 million, giving you 20,000 Naira per year, you could generate 40 million, right? Now, the money was like, ooh, how do you do that? So I'm like, all right, look at me. I've been collecting data for the last year. I've been interacting with the people I'm speaking to. I've built my social media around this. So if I say something off brand, people are not going to react to it, because those are not the followers I have. Now, if you can I can help you build this same thing, because it has then converted into my training program, converted into my academy, converted into my consultancy sessions, and we can build that for your music as well. So if you want to build a relationship with an artist, or you're saying you want to offer a label, a service or whatever, it's important that you're also able to show them what you've done, because it's really about, I'm employing you because you can do a job. If you're coming in to say, look, I want you to hire me or bring me in to do something, I want to also see you can do it as well. So that's another approach to finding opportunities for yourself, even within the pandemic.
Thank you guys for sharing so many gems there. We've got people locked in from Nigeria to London right now. We're all feeling the effects of the pandemic. So it's great to know all the different tips, tricks, and ideas that you think can help benefit, especially young people that have graduated that are trying to get that experience. Because a lot of the time it's like, we want to hire you, but you need to have experience, but we're not going to give you the experience. So that can be feeling like you're in a roundabout, just constantly chasing your tail when you're looking to do things. So there's some great ideas there on how to do that. Now, I've got one more question before I pass back on to DJ Longers. The last question comes from Violet, and she says, do you think that courses and programs and academics should be taught by people that only have the relevant experiences?
100%. I mean, you know, you can't really add something to somebody else's knowledge unless you have had that experience, you know. And I you know, there are lots of people out there who are theoretical teachers who had theoretical understandings of things but have never actually been through it themselves, and that is a trajectory to doom, really. If then that person who's being taught by that person goes on to try and teach somebody else something, it's ridiculous. It can't actually work. Some time ago, I was part of an initiative. Actually, Wisdom was one of the participants on a course, that the business of Black music. And one of the reasons why we set up a course called the business of Black music through a university, it was City University in London, was because we realized that the only way you can teach about the Black music industry is if you've had that experience. Do you know what I mean? Well, you might have had experience in a whole load of other related areas in other industries and what have you, but there are really uniquenesses, and there are unique aspects to the industries. Not least of which is the impact of racism, institutional racism, and all those things within that experience. And so, therefore, people who've had experience of that, alongside their experience in the music industry, are the best people to teach you. So somebody who can teach you who hasn't had that, that's not to say that somebody can't be taught how the general industry works. But if you want that detail, if you want that understanding, you need people who've been through it. And so therefore, I think it's absolutely essential. You can't be taught by somebody who hasn't had experience of the industry on a general level, or otherwise. I mean, I often get invited by the Law Society to talk to would-be up-and-coming music lawyers. And I say to these music lawyers, look, if you're going to go to a course, or if you're going to be focusing on music law, you almost don't need to know law. You need to know somebody who's had experience of the industry within which the law fits. Do you follow me? Because actually that's more important. So the idea is that, you know, you can know as much law as you want, but actually how that pertains to the music industry is the important thing. It's like why you always see on contracts that you must get advice from somebody experienced in the music industry. Do you follow me? And a general accountant cannot be taught to do accounts and understand the music industry, because there's uniquenesses to calculating royalties, streaming income, and a whole lot of other things. And so therefore, you know, I'd argue that that's the kind of experience that can teach you something that you can use.
I do think that there's space for people who know how to teach, being better teachers than the people that are experienced in something. Some people that may have the experience may not be good teachers, because there's that aspect as well. So I do agree with you, but I also think that there's room for good teachers to learn and then pass on that information.
Do you think there should be a cut-off, those teachers that can teach the history of the music industry, but then you have separate classes for those teachers and practitioners who are actually experiencing the industry currently?
Yeah, it could be that. I
also think something Bruce already said answers this question, because so you have I have, for example, the Music Business Africa program that I have. I don't know the details about record deals and licensing deals and publishing deals. So what do? I bring people who understand IP valuation and are able to teach all these things to the class. Music marketing varies in different markets. And so I bring people who can teach these things from these different markets. And it's important. So I could start the class giving a general overview, right? So let's say I'm the teacher who doesn't know that particular, who doesn't have experience. So I could start giving a general overview of what it is, but then I bring the people who are actually practicing to show them, even down to media buying and how it affects airplay and vice versa. All these things are essential, but you need people who are experiencing it to teach it as well. And the guy who understands how to then break that complex conversation into bits for the students to understand is also essential.
Yeah, I think just echoing that, we Tileyard Impact do work experiences, which has obviously been affected by the pandemic. And we ran our first virtual work experience last week in the creative industries. It was all about creating a plan to a release plan for an artist. And what I realized for the best way that we found to do that is we have a tutor who builds a relationship with the learners the whole way through and helps to give context in the over the industry. But we then have the masterclasses given by specialists in each area so that they can learn specifically what you need to know, because there is so much nuance and so much individual expertise in certain areas within the creative industries. It is very difficult for everybody to know, for any one person to know absolutely everything. So I do think a real big part of this and the education is both as Breeze was saying and as has been said before about the quality and the ability of colleges or any learning institution, whether it be youth work organizations, to be able to bring in professionals who are up to date. That ability is huge, and that speaks to how connected they are to the industry. So if you were going onto a course, I would definitely say to someone, ask them, who is it that you can bring in? Who is it that you're going to introduce us to? What areas of the industry are you guys experienced in? Because having an experience in dance or drum and bass may be very different from the people that you need to know if you're an Afrobeat artist or an R&B artist. Even though there are some general things around marketing and you building your brand, which are the same, you do need to understand and get access to those specialists.
Definitely. Thank you so much, guys, for your contributions. Now I'm getting ready to pass back to DJ Longers for another incredible set and live performance before we jump back into the last part of the discussion and we take more of your questions and answers later on. Over to you, DJ Longers.
Thank you, Jay. Well, this is now what I told you already. It is a very, very great show. And we've got more questions and answers to come from the panelists a little later on. But first, we're going to play one song and then we bring on our next act onto the stage. Send a big shouts, guys, to Emma Ems and Cheryl Blue, locked in as well. Now I'm playing this one simply because it's called Work For It. Going out to all those who's putting in that work to make sure their music career is flourishing.
Baby, made me work for it. She won't give it up, made me sweat for it. Baby, back it up, then she sweat on it. King song with that. Made me work on it. She won't give it up, made me search for it. Baby, back it up, then she sweat on it. So attack cause I found it, yeah. Lately, baby, you ain't got no patience. When you back it up, plenty hate on. Baby, you don't need no invitation. You know there can be no relation. Can't give it to you if you say so. Baby, I put it from your head to. When you back it down, give me temptation. Come drop it down, get that rotation, yeah. Eyes looking my way. She want wine up and poppy all day. The way she grind it drive me insane. Says she want sip on the Henny and way. One sip on it, one grip on it. Baby girl, give me love and then she sit on it. Yeah, all she really want is affection. Baby want me give her perfection. Baby make me work for it. She won't give it up, make me sweat for it. Baby back it up, then she twerk on it. King song with her, cause I found it. Make me work on it. She won't give it up, make me search for it. Baby back it up, then she twerk on it.
Like I said before, I want to give everybody to give a virtual round of applause. I know it sounds silly, but you know, when you're watching a movie and you get to that part of that movie and all of a sudden you get elated while you're watching that movie and you're like, brah, brah, brah. It's the same thing, but right now you're just giving it to an artist that is coming on stage. So please give a round of applause, a virtual round of applause to the one and only Kimani.
Hi everyone, I'm Kimani. We're gonna get straight into it, man. So yeah.
In a world you've roamed, 3 more years to go. Don't let the hurdle fall. So be the girl you love. Be the girl you love. So show me while you're strong. Ignore everybody else. Alone now, so show me while you're strong. Ignore everybody else. We're alone now. Suddenly I'm hit. It's the darkness of the dawn, and your friends are gone, yeah, and your friends won't come. So show me where you fell. So show me where you fail. So show me while you're strong, yeah. Ignore everybody else. 'Cause we're alone now, well, we're alone now. So show me why you're strong. Ignore everybody else. We're alone now. Away. So show me why you're strong, yeah. Ignore everybody else. So we're alone now. Suddenly I'm in. It's the darkness of the dawn. And your friends are gone, yeah, and your friends won't care. So show me where you fell. So show me where you fell. Show me where. Show me where. Show me where. Oh, where. So show me why you're strong. Ignore everybody, yeah, baby. I'll say we're alone now. And now, so show me while you're strong, yeah, yeah. Ignore everybody, yeah, yeah. We're alone. everybody else and we're alone now. Suddenly I'm hit. It's the darkness of the door. Yeah. Your friends all gone. Your friends won't come. So show me where. Show me where.
Thank you very much. That was Retrograde. The next one is, I believe, Children of the Love.
See, you remind me of me 7 years ago, so young and naive, ever so book smart. Oh, I was a bright kid. Who would have ever known I'd end up like this? My morals are no more, so no, I never told green. Well, now that's out the door. Won't touch no class A. I'll never write it off, so shallow-minded. You need your mind to grow now. Children of the love, no more go. Children of the love, don't try to run. The heart's a muscle, yeah, but yet a metaphor. It has no use but to simply pump your blood. Don't get confused, love. The heart, it can't be broke when oceans get rough. The heart will only pump, see everything's in your eyes. The keys to your soul, and baby girl, I won't lie. I entered and I stole a part of your life that you will never own. Now, children of the love, say you're one of those children of the love. Don't try to run. See, I'm not evil, yeah, I'm just being in your place. And once you feel wrong, you never break again, yeah. This ain't a love song, it's just a way to think. Never meant no harm. Allow me to repent, you see every time you see me, yeah. Hold your tears and pray, look heavy breathing. Realize one day what you needed. Some troubles and some faith now. Children of the love, say you're one of those. Children of the love, don't try to run. Oh, children of the love, children of the love, yeah. Children of the love, children of the love, children of the love.
Cool, I got one more for you guys. One more. Yeah, just run it, man. Just run it. Let's go Sleep Alone.
Run. Tell me why you run from me and explain what I've done wrong. I be sipping on lean when the night comes. Sleep alone. Don't you dare let me sleep alone. Yeah. Sleep alone, yeah. I can't trust myself, oh yeah. And I've been drinking a lot, leaning my gut. Saucing leaves, think my brains had enough. And there's weed in my brownies, I made it with dust. 2 slices enough for that I scoff down. Rain outside but it's 40 degrees, yeah. Makes no sense, just like you when you speak. When you look into my eyes, I get wicked in ears, I get chills. So yeah. Don't you dare let me sleep alone. Don't you let me sleep alone now, no. I can't trust myself going, yeah. Hey, yeah. What a conundrum. I know that I can be intense when I'm love drunk. I let you shoot and quarter straight from your love gun, yeah. Just admit it, just say that you want me. Don't let them demons in your brain get too comfy. I'm gonna sip some Hugo. I'll take horse-boat or plane to where you go. Sleep alone, don't you dare. Sleep alone. I can't trust myself going through my phone again. So don't you let me sleep alone. Don't you let me sleep alone. I can't trust myself. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. Love.
Whoa, one more time for Kimani. Can we get you down here, please? We have to have a conversation, bro. We have to have this conversation. Now, first things first. Now, I'm sure everybody watching right now, when you went up on stage, thought you was going to go up there and start saying, yeah, I'm from Tottenham. I got bear beef, blah, blah, blah. You know, that, and they were shocked to hear you singing. So big shouts to you for going out there and showing that, boy, just because you're a man and you have that road look, yeah, that you can still sing.
Listen, looks are deceiving, man.
Looks are definitely deceiving. Never judge a book by its cover.
Especially this book, man.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
But thank you, I appreciate that.
So let's start with a question.
Let's do it.
How important do you think it is to be educated musically to get into the music business?
Do you know what, yeah? I think that question is such an intricate question to try and tackle because there's so much different angles to what you can consider being a learner or learning or being educated.
Yes.
So like I went to school, college, university. I did music the whole way through.
Okay, excellent.
And but it's funny. I feel like it's my experiences outside of the education system that have taught me the most about the industry.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So like for example, my university course was a music BA, and it wasn't necessarily a pathway into the industry. But for me, I learned a lot about like being in the university environment, about networking and the importance of being able to have conversations with people.
Yes.
More so than what I learned on the course. Don't get it twisted. What I learned on the course is very valuable information, and I've taken it and I've used it to craft myself as an artist. But in terms of using that to tackle the industry, it's not as straightforward as you would think it is.
Oh yeah, that's the difference between practical and theory. In the actual courses, that's the theory side, and that's the what can I say, the grounding, the baseline of it,
the foundation of everything. Yeah,
and then obviously everything else is the practical side where you have to put it to use.
That's the difference, and being able to actually apply it. that's where, you know, it can be difficult, or depending on what your personality is like, what you're like as a person. I feel like it's very important to be a people person as well within this industry that we're all trying to kind of break into, to tackle in a sense. Because it's about, you know, creating good relationships, and for me, that is an education in itself. Do you get me? Because you can go into something and, you know, you don't have the best rapport with somebody, and I can take from that in two ways. I can go, all right, cool, I don't like this person, it is what it is. Or I can learn from that experience, be like, okay, cool. If I get in contact with someone that's a similar character, I know next time how to deal with that situation. And for me, that is an education. Do you get me? Because at the end, that's how you apply yourself. That's how you get yourself to the next level. That's how you start climbing certain ladders, so to speak, because it's about being a person that can communicate with people, man. I think that's the most important part of music education.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, he likes to talk, so network with him, yeah? Get onto his socials, network with him, find out about more what he does and more what you can learn from him as well. Now, let's talk about you now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, where can people find you?
Okay, so I'm everywhere. Twitter, my Twitter is more of a casual thing. I need to make it more professional in the sense of being a musician, but it's more of a personal account. My Instagram, though, is where you can find everything, but it's all Kimane Music. So that's KIMARN for November, E Music.
Okay, now spell that again, because there's some people who might look at, let's say, Kimani Marley.
Okay,
yeah?
cool.
So just
okay,
spell that again.
Yeah, because the spelling is very unique. There is
Very
a lot of
different.
spellings like mine. So it's KIMARNE Music.
All right.
And that's on all social platforms.
All social platforms. And what music have you got coming now? What can we look forward to you seeing from you, etc., etc.?
Cool. So first of all, there's music out already. I've got a song out that I released, the one last year with an artist called Angel and Kelvin Boy and Mike's Quest called Tingy Ningy. That's a banger. It's a little Afrobeat joint, a bit different to what I've done today.
Yes, definitely.
I got another one with a rap god, a Ghanaian rap god called Manifest.
Okay.
And again, Mike's Quest. That one's called No Apologies. Go and check that out. It's on all social media, all streaming profiles, platforms. Sorry. Obviously, I've released some other stuff here and there, but I've actually got an EP coming.
Excellent.
My first body of work. You know, I've done a few features here and there, and I feel like it's time to give people a sense of who I am as an artist. So, yeah.
Name of the EP. When's it coming out?
I have got a name for it. It's going to be called Sepsis. Because to break it down, sepsis or septic basically means an infection of the blood.
Okay.
So I don't want to give away too much because that's the concept of it. But I haven't got a date for you yet, but it's coming very soon. So everyone just
2020 or 21?
We're on the cusp right now.
Okay,
Me and the manager are having discussions. We're on the cusp, 2020, 2021. It's going to be in and around December, January time. So,
well, keep your eye on his socials, and then you'll find out everything. One more time for Kimani, please.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Okay,
now, we already told you this is going to be a big show. So, we're going to hand it back to the one and only Jay McGregor.
Yeah, no, I saw Kiende.
In right at the beginning.
Yeah, okay, that's what I think I saw Michelle and Stush smiling. I was
like, you guys still there? You guys there?
Stush looked like she was about to go. Sorry, Stush.
I don't know why they're laughing.
I just can't stop laughing. You just can't do that to me.
We are ready to start. A big thanks to DJ Longers and Kimani for that amazing set right there. My panelists, how are we doing? Are you still with me? Are we all good? I'm getting
great.
Round. Just to remind you, we've got the lovely Stush, recording artist and ACM tutor. We've got Breeze, owner of Student Life, author, recording artist. We've got Michelle Escoffrey, owner of Student Life, author, recording artist. We've got Godwin Tom, CEO at Music Business Africa and artist manager. We've got Kenda Hodgie, assistant head of School of Arts, principal lecturer for music at Law, University of Westminster. And we've also got Wisdom, manager of Tired Impact. How are we all doing? We've had such a lovely evening so far. We've gotten all the gems from the music business side of things. We've got performances to keep us on our toes. And we're going back in to the music business chat, as well as some more questions that I've got from our live audience who are watching with us from all across the globe. Are we ready to get back in?
We definitely are. Breeze, do you want to clear up this little thing, or should I?
Yeah, so Jay, just a little correction. I'm the founder of Student of Life. That's the name of the organization. But Michelle, and although I love Michelle, and Michelle's like a brethren of mine, she doesn't co-own it with me.
I'm so sorry. I am firing whoever wrote that. Fired. No, thank you guys. Honestly, let's just clear everything up while we're here. I'm seeing some extra smiles on faces. I know that we've also been looking into those election results that have been coming in on the sly, as well as our discussion.
Yeah, that is some good news too, Jay. That's I think we're all buzzed by that in lots of ways.
Yeah, it's just to say Trump didn't win.
You can try and hide your excitement.
We're doing our best.
Back into try and compose ourselves, guys. The last segment to go. Let's keep it together. Back to music business. Now, we know that there has a lot been going on, even, concerning Trump slightly with, the racial tensions that have been happening, the Black Lives Matter movement that's come to the front and center. It's been a lot. Now, the music industry itself has had to take a long look at itself for equality, for diversity, for gender imbalances. So when you're taking a music course or you're getting some sort of music education, how does that help you when the music industry can be looked at as sort of institutionally racist? I'm just going to jump in the deep end there. How is that going to benefit me as a young person, whether I want to be an artist, whether I want to be in music law, marketing, digital, any sort of the music industry? How does that benefit me, or how do I navigate that?
Well, I think if you're talking about industry, that is going to run across any industry that you get involved in, because, as you said, it's institutionalized. So that should never be a deterrent if that's what you want to get into. Some of the things that the music industry are looking at, UK Music have started their 10-point plan. Lots of different initiatives are happening across the board in terms of addressing ethnic equity and gender pay gap, and lots of other things happening. And I think over the next few years, one of the really important things that we've been looking at is progression through the music industry. You've got a lot of people of colour on the lower end of the industry, but maybe not so many executives. And that's something that we now are very much aware of, and we're not going to be quiet about either. So we will be looking to progress, people coming into the industry through the industry so that you can become an executive. Again, that happens in banking, it happens in TV, it happens in every other industry that you can think of. So it's something that we are going to have to actively keep pushing and working through. Kendi, you was going to say something.
I think what you said, Michelle, sister, is so right on the money. But I would go even further than that and give a bit of an analysis in this way. Where we are different from banking and other industries is we are the product. We are the product. And what we're seeing is a disparity between us being the product primarily. If you think about music innovation, music throughout the millennia, right? We are the product. And what's interesting is there's an interesting nature that doesn't exist in most other industries, which is you've got one set of people who potentially are the product and another set of people who are the people who manipulate that product, who sell it, make money, profit from it, and acquire it on every single level. And so when we start to look at the question, I sit on the UK Music Diversity Task Force that set up the 10-point plan that Michelle just mentioned. What's interesting is the number of people that we go to talk about institutional racism in the music industry who turn around and say, actually, it's not an institutionally racist organization, because you've got Stormzy. You've got all these people here. It's not an institutionally racist industry, right? Because how are these people successful, right? The fact of the matter is that it's a really interesting industry because it kind of skews the impression. We've got artists who are successful, undoubtedly, and deservedly so. Amazing artists. But the people who are in the background, who are the ones that are profiteering the people who are making the decisions, the executives, the structure. When Michelle talks about us observing who's going through, that's the important thing. She's hit the nail on the head. It's about where those people are. And actually, the fact that those people that you see on the TV screens, on the stages, what have you, are popular, and the other people aren't, is an indication of just how structurally racist the music industry is. But what I would say is this, and I think it's very, very important. Again, what Michelle said, don't let that discourage you. We have a battle in order to effectively reclaim our cultural heritage. The world that I work in is intellectual property, copyright. So I tend to look at ownership of material. And right now I'm doing some research, academic research around how we can bring class action against the appropriation of our product. But more importantly, how we ourselves can adjust that disparity by putting more people into the control elements of the music industry. It's the reason why Wisdom will tell you way back when the Business of Black Music course started, that I mentioned earlier, because there was a real fundamental need to address that. So when you start talking, and when we start talking about people participating in courses, please understand this. And I'm going to have a little bit of a rant here, I'm sorry. But actually, you know, we have modules on courses that are creative modules. We have modules on courses which are business modules. And I've got to be really honest with you, and I'm going to be shot down over it, but truth is truth. When we start talking about modules that students can opt to do, I personally, and I can't deny this is the truth, my truth, I am seeing predominantly white students opting to take the business modules. And it fills me with despair. At the beginning of every term, I cry tears when I see the studios on lock when it comes to the studios in the university, the creative stuff being occupied by us. But when I'm standing in front of a group of students giving gems of knowledge about intellectual property and I don't see me, I don't see anybody who looks like me. And when there's students actually on the course like me. So what I'm saying to you is this. I think what I would say is please understand this. You know, the music industry is a big industry. Then there's a big debate in academic circles whether we're talking about industry singular or industries plural. Put that aside. The fact of the matter is that there is incredibly exciting areas of the industry, booming areas of the industry, quite outside of the studios and off the stages that have a lot of stuff to do. Management, Godwin's already talked about that. You know, Breeze has already talked about it. I mean, the fact of the matter is that there are these areas that we don't occupy. Whenever I sit in a studio with an artist for a meeting about their legal battle and somebody else walks in, when you're doing your backing vocals, mate, they make an assumption that I'm an artist. That's because they've effectively been grounded in that thought. And the moment I turn around and say, well, no, I'm a lawyer, sheer shock. We need to be doing that a lot more. And I just think that, so therefore I would encourage people, Jay, in response to your question, I would say this, look, do not be discouraged, people. You know, we have a battle to win. And I think that, you know, when you go to university, when you go to college, whenever you go, think about the business, think about how we can take, you know, you can get into that to address those institutionally racist structures. They're not new. Way back in time in the 1970-something, the American music industry, the NAACP ran a report called The Discordant Sound of Music. That was the earliest report that we know of, which was a survey of the music industry, came to the same conclusion. That was when Stax was happening, when the music industry was dominated by R&B soul, and it was even then recognized that actually the disparity existed within the business area of the music industry. We have a job to do, and we need to be able to do it. And I think we need to do that, plus the entrepreneurial activity. Last thing I would say, it's not just about being in the studio, please. It's about us dealing with the business and understanding that. That's just a rant. I'm sorry, Jay, but
I wanted to add to that and just put it in context, because I know that there are a few people from Africa watching this, and when we talk about racism, they don't see it directly. It's not there is a sort of a middleman standing, and the middleman most of the time is someone that looks like them. So there's no reference to what the real decision making and how it affects them or what it is. But the reality is it does. A ton of the revenue generated by our top artists from Africa are generated outside Africa, mainly because access to people are still heavily downloading free music or illegal music. A lot of, and the argument around that, whether it's racism or your own people oppressing you, the reality is you cannot be outside the club and be shouting at the guys in VIP. You need to get in. And the conversation around getting in is what Kienda just highlighted, that education. It's great for us to be interested in the sound and be the creative guys, but so many creative guys. I was a musician. I was even signed to a label, but then I realized I was a better business person than a musician. And I had someone telling me, you don't have to be the most popular guy in the room to be the most needed. And I think it is that demand for being needed that forces people to think that, okay, if I'm the creative guy, I'm the guy they see, right? So learning and I personally like to sit with Kianda and just have a conversation, because you can sense the passion and the anger. And that's the same thing that I feel most times when I'm speaking to people and I'm saying, you have an amazing brain. The business would work. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to be the artist. Like, how much do they pay the manager? How much do they pay this? And I'm like, the real people making the money are the guys at the back. And we need more of us at the back. And that brings me to the next point, which is why this conversation is essential. A lot of people in the UK don't know Breeze, don't know what Michelle is doing, don't know what Wisdom is doing. And programs like these, platforms like these are essential to taking. So if I'm sitting somewhere and I'm thinking, I mean, we've said it before, I've had to go to different, in Nigeria, I've had to go to my staff's homes to speak to their parents. Because when they tell their parents, oh, I work for Godwin Tom. Oh, what does Godwin Tom do? Oh, he's in the music industry. Never. Oh, what career do you have? Why do you want to do that? And when I meet them, they're like, there's no way it's you, right? Your pants are not down in Nigeria. That's a big thing. Your pants are not down. You don't look like you smoke. I don't know. None of that has any bearing on, but you have to understand the different markets you're operating in. But the important thing is people need to see that there are people like us fixing these problems, whether we're from Africa or we live in the UK or we live in America. They need to see that, oh, they live comfortably, they live well, they're doing okay, they feed their families. So this could be something I could do, possibly do better. And I think that's why this conversation is essential.
You're right. These conversations are essential in making sure that we kind of open the doors and give a 360 perspective on the music business, the highs, the lows, and making sure that their knowledge is actively available to do so. Did you want to add, Wisdom?
Yeah, just on something just Godwin said at the end, and I think that it's really, really crucial, is that seeing of people doing well. I think that sometimes we underestimate that. I think if we look at both, if I use music industry and I use football as examples, we see the performers more time than anything else. We don't see the successful managers, whether that be in football, whether that be in music. We don't see the successful people who are working behind the scenes. Not everybody knows who Ricky Blue is. And do you know what I mean? There are some fantastic execs in the industry, but because unlike in the US where you see Puffy and you see Master P and you see Jay-Z and you see Babyface and you see those people, though in the UK the equivalents have never been seen. So that conversation about, you're going to go and work in the industry and, you never make any money and you'll never do very well because people haven't seen people doing well. And I think that that's a really important part of us getting the message out that this is a sustainable, this is a really active industry. And it also we're fighting against, to some extent, even the government with that, because it almost feels like when you're talking about packages of relief in this time now of COVID, like the creative industries is the last on the list. It feels like this whole lockdown, the only thing that's really being locked down is the creative industries. It's like everywhere else, you go to work, but now you can't go to a pub, you can't go to the cinema, but you can go to a construction site, and there is a lot of that mindset to kind of overcome, and is a challenge for us within the creative industries, for people to see that there is real work here, there are real careers, there's real longevity within this industry.
Thank you. Your thoughts, everybody, is so insightful to really hear what you feel about the industry and how we can better it all together for the next generation coming up and those who are currently involved. Now, when it comes to colleges, universities, courses, workshops, the things that you guys are all teaching, because you all teach and inspire and help young people in some sort of way, how much of Black music and diverse content are on your sorts of curriculums and the stuff that you are teaching? How much is that embedded into the key learning structures that you're putting out?
100% black. Yeah, it's because I'm coming from a perspective of bringing the culture of hip hop to a classroom, but I take it back to its West Indian roots, its Jamaican roots, and I take it further back to its African roots, the griot, the art of storytelling. So when I approach it, I'm really coming from the perspective of this is actually a culture that started from Black people, and it's gone through this journey, and now it's celebrated all around the world. And this is how beautiful it is. But these are the roots. These are the roots. And I think that it's important for people to understand the roots of something to be able to appreciate later on, because there is so many, there's so much misinformation or ignorance because people just don't know. They don't know the roots of something. They don't know why this is acceptable, why this isn't acceptable. And I think that education is important. And that's kind of what we do at Student of Life, is bring that kind of mindset of appreciate where this is coming from, respect it, and enjoy it. So that when I'm teaching, that's the kind of context that I'm bringing.
I think I'd follow on the back of that and say that I think that it's really interesting from a university perspective, because quite frankly, there's a lot of issues around universities. You know, there's a campaign which some of you may have heard of called "Why Isn't My Professor Black?" And there's a whole set of issues around the institutional racist nature of academic institutions. But I'm proud to say that actually, you know, that we're not necessarily doing everything that we possibly could do, but we're making in Westminster particularly, you know, I'm really happy with what we do. And the reason why is because Michael Riley, who may well be listening or not, some of you will know, has set up Base Culture, the Black Music Research Centre, which is situated at University of Westminster. And the whole idea of that is that the content that's found in that research does feed in to a lot of the teaching that happens at Westminster. The other thing that's really important is to recognise that I'm also proud to say that we have potentially, and this is really interesting, isn't it? The largest group of Black academics in any one department happens to be in music, and it was in Westminster. Do you know what I mean? And you know, which is great for us, you know, and some really notable people. You know, Michelle has taught at Westminster for a long time, and you know, we've had her benefit. So she's brought her nuance to the course, and students have benefited from that. You know, we've had Kwame, we've had a load of people who've come in and taught. We've got Michael Riley, Shirley Thompson, you know, and a whole plethora of teachers who've come in with and have brought that. When I teach using examples that only I know, or actually I know others, but I focus on making a point of talking about the Black music industry, you know, and from that time, from my early involvement till now. And we'll also talk about how the Black music in the UK relates to what's going on in pop, and in other areas of the music industry. For example, Michael Riley's project focuses a lot on talking about the influence that Black music has had on other people's music. So, you know, we'll talk about rock, pop, and other areas and make the relationships that talk about the lineage between the origin being Black music and now how these people have gone off and appropriated it. So talk a lot about cultural appropriation within the context of the music industry. It's very important. And we have some very healthy debates around this subject, which involves white students as well. And so, you know, from my point of view, you know, it would be great if, you know, we could do a lot more, but, you know, I think that we're doing an incredible amount from our point of view. And that's why I would implore students not to sort of turn away.
Yeah. So I wanted to add to this in terms of it's really about having the culture in the music, in the education of the industry and the music. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of labels have, and I have had conversations with labels, I do not know why they never take it seriously, is you come to Africa, right? And then you take the same systems you apply in the UK, copy and paste in Africa and wonder why you fail, because you're forgetting that there are certain elements in the UK that are not in existence in Nigeria or in Ghana or all these locations. So the bigger problem is, and I've had this conversation with two of the labels in the UK, and I've said, look, you can't engage if you've not educated or understood, right? So education in the sense of, first of all, understanding how the market works in Nigeria or in Ghana, because how the market works in Nigeria is totally different from how it works in Ghana. So understanding those different markets, and it's different from Kenya and it's different from South Africa. Understanding those markets are essential to then introducing your system, right? And if you don't educate the people who understand the market about your system, there's a disconnect. So you're wondering why a Wizkid album, which you took him out of Nigeria to create this massive, beautiful work, isn't selling, right? But he goes back home and records an amazing song. It's because something like ah yeah, or when Burna Boy says yeah yeah, has its meaning. You know what I mean? And understanding that in itself is a course that needs to be taught, because when Burna Boy says yeah, he's talking about the problems and people can relate to it based on the exclamation of what he's dealing with. These are things people are failing to understand. So we need to first of all identify as ourselves. When I started my training program was never called, it used to be called the Music Business Program. But then I said, you know what, I'm gonna call it the Music Business Academy for Africa. And the reason why it's done that way is because it's essential that we're creating information that is peculiar to the African market, right? And the reason why we should do that is because when you tell someone like me from Nigeria that I can sell 1 million copies of my song and I'm excited about it, but you haven't told me that if I sell 1 million copies or have 1 million streams on Apple Music, that because of my the exchange rate in Nigeria, I'm gonna earn considerably less money than a British artist who did the same. I need to understand that so I know what we're looking at and then we can work around it. So I think the education and how we can merge those is we're failing because somebody in the UK would sit, and this is the conversation around bringing culture into it. Someone in the UK, most of the time white, would sit in an office in the UK and make decisions about what's affecting people in Nigeria or in Ghana or in Kenya or in South Africa without understanding clearly what the challenges are in those markets. And then they tell you that the person who's responsible for running that show in Africa has failed, right? So it's important for us as a people to educate ourselves. So we're having this conversation now as a community for the UK, but I also believe that there's so much education that we can take from the UK to Africa and so that we have more people, because a Ghanaian artist who is doing well in the UK has a market in Ghana. right? And understanding how to connect those markets are extremely essential. And this is the education that a lot of universities, like I'm excited with what Kienda has said. I almost applied to Westminster for my master's, right? and one of the challenges I had was these things are great, but I don't see how they fit into the market that I understand the basics of it, but I don't see how I can practicalize these or put these things into practical use in Africa, in Lagos, right? And that was what discouraged me. At the time, I hadn't made a decision whether I was moving here or not. But it's important that we're able to then take this curriculum and then adapt it to the African market so that we're teaching people the right thing or the most useful things.
Yeah, I learned that firsthand trying to promote a single in Nigeria, in Lagos. When I tell you I got my butt whooped. I had no idea. And I tried to bring this like London swag to Lagos. It did not wash at all. Like, I had to learn the energy. The energy is different. The approach is different. The attitude is different, you know, and I had to just, and what's interesting is everything I learned when I was in Lagos, when I brought that back to the UK, actually really helped more than me bringing my London take on things to Lagos. So yeah, again, experience is so key in education.
Thank you so much for your honesty, the real depth that we're getting into in these conversations. These ain't your ordinary seminar. This is a AAA Access All Areas, because that's exactly what we're getting here right now. We're coming up to the end of the panel really soon. It feels like time's flown, but I have got a couple of more questions and answers that have come in from the live audience watching on the stream. I'm seeing so many fire emojis, thumbs up, so everyone seems to be really enjoying it so far. So big up yourself for being locked online with Access All Areas and Tired Impact. Now, I've got a question here from Manny, who says, in the last Q&A panel, we all kind of agreed that industry experience should be imperative as a teacher, a lecturer, a practitioner, a facilitator that is teaching, you know, young people these courses. But isn't it still going back to square one in terms of theoretical teaching versus experience? Can experience be taught? That is the question.
Well, it can be taught because it's about sharing knowledge and skills. I agree with Breeze that some people are not great teachers. They might be great practitioners, but they're not necessarily great teachers. So you need to learn the rudiments of what it means to teach. But if you're talking about sharing knowledge and skills, you have to be a practitioner to be able to do that. For myself, you know, teaching, the first time I went to an interview about teaching a degree in songwriting, I literally laughed for the first 40 minutes. Like, are you really serious? Like, you really want to teach a degree in songwriting? Just do it, just write. Look, I just didn't understand what she was saying. But it's about sharing your skill set. A person's either going to have that talent or they're not. You cannot teach a person to be talented. They're either going to be talented or not. But there is a rudiment of skills. There is a knowledge base that you can teach. With the Tired education, it's the module, I'm the module leader for that module, and it's completely holistic. And one of the first things I say to a new cohort is, we are going to learn by doing. I'm not going to ask you to read a whole load of things about what it means to write songs. You're going to write songs. We're going to have briefs, and we're going to learn about lyric structure. We're going to learn about timing. We're going to learn about so many different things, and then you're going to do it. That is the only way. The only way to get good, Kienda knows, this has been my thing for however many years now. It's not okay to just be okay. It's not. You have to be great. And the only way you can get great is by practice. So as teachers, our job is to give you the tools to enable you to have that skill set. That's my opinion. You cannot teach somebody something that you do not know.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely right. I would go as far as to say there's an interesting although it's used in a completely separate or a different sort of way. Keith Negus's book, Producing Pop, has this really interesting analysis of the music industry, having this dichotomy that exists between the organic nature of talent and the synthetic nature of the industry. And the fact that those two philosophies potentially have tension between them. And invariably, that's the case. So if we think about the structure of the industry and how artists find their way in, the predominant emphasis of an A&R person is to look for the organic talent. That's somebody who potentially, at the end of the day, has a way of performing which is literally organic and hasn't actually been created. And once they come into the label scenario, that instantly amongst people who, the marketing department. So people out there may or may not know that when you get, particularly with majors, if you're in conversation with a major, the person you're sitting in front of, the A&R person, is not going to be the person making the decision as to whether you're signed or not. There's a whole infrastructure behind which involves product managers, marketing, and a whole load of other people, and that's without even the finance department, right? So you're talking about these people. Now, that's a synthetic structure that's trying to organize and work with an organic talent. The two things together do not mix. And that's where there is a problem. So if we think about it within the educational context, the same thing applies. You've got people who come in as performers who are organic. And Michelle's right. You have to ask the question. You can't necessarily teach in that kind of way, that the talent. But what you can do is you can talk to the people who are, if you like, needing to understand the theoretical precepts that underpin the work that they need to do in order to work or interact with talent, then that is something which potentially you can work with. And to understand the dichotomy that exists between those two philosophies, because they'll never mix. But so when you come to teaching, yes, there are tensions around teaching the industry and whether or not you need to be experienced or not. But at the end of the day, having an understanding of how those things interrelate with one another is incredibly important. So yes, there is room for theoretical teachers. There is absolutely room. I'm not going to say that there isn't, because those people bring a certain thing. If it's historical, if musicological, they bring all of these things. But it's for the institution to be skilled at putting the two elements together so that they work seamlessly. Do you follow me? Not in the way that they potentially won't work in the real world of the industry, but in a way that works within an educational context. And that's really important. I mean, I'll give you one example. I have a teaching position at Beijing University in China, and I have to visit China. Well, I haven't been doing recently, but anyway, that's another story. But visit China often. And I've seen the way that they recruit teachers. Very often the philosophy is recruiting people who have actually done it. If they're theoretical teachers, then they have to have written, they have to have done academic papers, which is their experience, but at least they've done the research. Do you follow me? And so they might be theoretical, but they've done the research, which is the equivalent in the theoretical world as it is in the practical world. So you've got to value people who have done that level of research amongst the same people who've done that, had that experience of being on a stage, who can teach stagecraft. I still challenge, last thing I'll say, if you're going to teach stagecraft, you have to have been on a stage yourself. Hopefully Stush will agree with that, but you can't do it without having had that experience.
I wanted to also add that, you know, the something he said about when you're selecting teachers and the work they need to have done, and that brings me back to what was said earlier. When you have people who do not know, it's easier to. The best way to put it, it's easier to believe. Now, I went to teach, I had a session in the University of Lagos last year, and there's this young, beautiful girl who was singing on the guitar. It was amazing, it was beautiful. And I said to her at the end of the class, she was like, oh, I want to ask a question. I said, okay, come through. So I said, when she was done, I could see that the scope of what she believes is possible was so limited. So I asked her, what do you want to become when you're done? When she finished, she said, oh, I want to be a session musician. I said, okay, that's great. What is the plan around being a session musician? And she goes, I don't know, right? And I think that is what you miss when somebody who is not in the system when somebody who's in the system is not speaking to you. Because what the guy who understands the theory is telling you is what's on paper, what they know, what they've seen, what they've read. What somebody who's in the business and in doing the job can tell you are the multiple steps that a session musician can take to becoming wealthy or making a living or living. She just knows, oh, that's the next step after school. I can play my instruments here, but no knowledge about what I can do as a session musician to live well or even be nominated for a Grammy, right? So those are, I think that it's easier to see further when you have a combination of both. Somebody who understands the theory, but someone who can tell you about what to do in practice.
Thank you so much for breaking that down. We are coming up to the end of the panel. And before we do that, I just want to get one short and sweet point about music business that you'd like those viewing to really take home from each of you. Would anyone like to start us off? And I'll put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay, I'll say one thing. Because I like to talk, you know that already. But my thing is, look, the music business is as creative as the creative side of the business. Okay, and actually, I really fundamentally believe that, and that's because there are no rules. And what we teach is the rudiments that allow people to be creative. And I would say this: if you're thinking about education, think about going into your course with the mindset that you're going to learn rudiments that will allow you to then create whatever it is that you want to do in the future, that you will not go in there necessarily and learn how to be successful. You won't come out automatically successful, but you must be able to embrace the building blocks and then be creative about how you use them for your success. If you do that, we can work. And then the last thing I'd say is if you're African and you're part of the African diaspora, it's excessively important that you deal with the business side of things. We need to deal with our culture, and that's the message that I will give.
Thank you so much, Kienda.
Sorry. I'd say if you're coming in as an artist or a performer, just make sure that you equip yourself with the business side of things, as in, like we were saying before, your PRS, your accounting, your PPL, all those kind of things that if you're not going to go into an educational establishment and you're just going to go straight in and dive in, make sure that you're also equipped with those side of things and you've got that under your belt as well, just as a form of protection for yourself.
I hear that. Thanks, Sush.
I was gonna say, I was start off. I've just written a book called Diary of a Creative Mind, and it's about exactly that, having a creative mind. And I think if you're getting into the music industry, I think that you do have a creative mind. And one of the important things to realize is that in this business, part of your success is created by yourself. Like, the institutions are there to facilitate you and help you out, but you also have the ability to create opportunities for yourself. You have opportunities to create models for yourself. You see, there are models that exist at the moment that sometimes aren't really working or don't always work. And sometimes you have to use your creativity to find a way through that works for you. You might be able to see it, and it might not have been done. For myself as an artist, I used to look at Ryan Leslie and Nipsey Hussle as really creative minds who came up with a different kind of model, marketing models, ways to get to their audiences without the industry. So just know that you have a creative mind. Use it to figure out how you get to what you want to get to. I'll leave it at that.
Great. Thanks, Breeze.
I would say to really hone your craft. If you're coming in, I 100% agree with Kienda that you have to learn the business element, because if you don't want to get burnt and also stush, you need to know the business element. But in terms of a craft, if you have a craft, hone it, do your homework, practice. So many creatives are like, oh, I sing or I play guitar, da, 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 da. And when you ask them, okay, how many hours do you practice? Well, maybe once a week, or I do it, you know, when I remember. Practice, learn your craft, study people that have been successful in what you want to do. How did they do it? Why did they do it? Really broaden your base of knowledge so that you can be self-sufficient, and so that becomes second nature to what you do. If it's writing songs or if it's performing, it's second nature. Then you just add the sprinkles on top. If you're not rehearsed, if you're not practiced, if you're not deep in that knowledge of your instrument or your writing ability, it's not going to be second nature, and you won't be ahead as much as you want to be. So I would say really, really practice honing your craft as much as possible. And a lot of that is independent. It's going to take you going away from class, and actually really that's where the real studying would begin.
Thanks, Michelle. Godwin, on to you.
Really quickly, I would say this: the true test of power and influence is in its distribution. And I think that one of the things we fail to understand as a people is that because the opportunities are so limited for us, what happens when an opportunity pops up is we want to claim it, right? And we forget that, you know, someone's giving you a little stick when you could actually own the forest. So it's understanding that when we have knowledge and we have opportunities, we will be stronger when we spread it, when we share it, when we create more opportunities for more people to have power or more networks. It expands and benefits all of us. And the last thing I'll say for young people who are interested in the business or in a career, there are 5 things that guide me personally. I'm still on my journey, but there are 5 very important things that guide me. Whenever you decide what you want to do, go learn about it. It's essential. Whether you go to school or you practice or you learn, find a mentor, learn about it. When you learn, practice. When you practice enough, you will become someone that provides a solution for that situation. And when you provide solution, you build relevance. And what you do with relevance is what brings money. And I think that's essential for people who are coming up to understand things don't just happen. It takes time.
Thank you. And last but not least, wisdom.
Absolutely. Just wanted to, firstly, from a Tired Impact point of view, just thank all of the panel and everyone at AAA who've given some fantastic information today. I think for me, what I would say is definitely this is a people's business, so get to know people. If you can, whether you're in college, whether you're in university, to make sure you're taking that knowledge and you're doing something about it as actively as you possibly can, outside the boundaries of, I need to finish this piece of coursework for this. Try and, if you're learning about events management, go put on an event and lose money, because you will never learn anything better than losing money at it and then having to work out how to do it again and make money from it. Put yourself out there. Go and network around your peers. We've been talking just on this panel, and there's at least 3 people who've been through Brit School in some way, shape or form on this panel alone. We didn't know that was going to be where we went to later, but just if you're in a college, get to know the people that you're working with. But also just make friends. Don't just look at it as networking, make friends. That person may not be the biggest artist in the world right now, but they could be the head of a record label in about 10, 15 years time. And if they remember you as an idiot, they're still going to think you're an idiot now. So make sure the way that you introduce and you deal with yourself builds those networks, because you have no idea where people are going to be. And if someone's genuinely your friend, those open doors in the future. So I would very much encourage anyone, build your networks, build your experience, and get the attitude where people want to work with you. You may not even have all the skills, but just sometimes having that person around who's enjoyable to be around and has a passion for a thing, you can learn stuff and just be there from that. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming. We as Tired Impact want to continue to be able to do things like work experience in the industry, because a lot of people have spoken about this difficulty of how you get industry work experience. If you haven't had industry work experience, it's something that we do and we'll continue to deliver. So we will make sure we put that out there. So just follow us at Tired Impact. And I would lastly just encourage everybody to watch Little Mix The Search this evening, because I have two girls in the Nostalgia band who are looking to do really well. And if you can go and vote for them, I would really, really appreciate it very much. So all the best, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on the Zoom today. And thanks to all those watching on the stream. I hope you've picked up lots and lots of gems, great information, some facts, some knowledge. And of course, our amazing panel. As you can see, they've got their Instagrams and their social medias as their names on the little boxes on the corner of the Zoom page. So make sure you have a look and you network. I'm going to be handing back to DJ Longers now. My name has been Jay McGregor and I've been your host for today. Thank you.
Nenn mich Rolli, denn das ist der Day-Day-Flex. Unterwerfen wie Modi,
Thank you so much,
aufgewachsenen
guys.
FFM. Der Blick von der Sky.
Oh, thank you. That was really good. Really.
So wunderschön hässlich. Jeder hier kennt mich, aber keiner kennt mich for real. Aber keiner kennt mich for real. Immer am Lächeln, gut zu mir, ne böse. Keiner kennt mich for real.
This has been a really great show. The AAA Access All Areas. Now, we saw her earlier on. She's going to come back on stage to bless us with her lovely voice in just a minute. So just give me a second, and we're going to get her back on the stage.
Viele Plagiate, nur ein Original. Wenn du es noch nicht wirst, ich sag nochmal, sie nennen mich Rolli. Denn das ist der Day-Day-Flex. Unterwerfen wie Mowgli.
Remember, due to COVID rules, we haven't been able to do this in the way we would like to have done, but we want you to give another virtual round of applause for the one and only Leah.
I guess I was a fool for wasting my time on you. Pour my heart out to you, and then you used it like fuel. Now I'm left with regret for trusting my heart instead of my head. And I won't never forget, but I remember what you said. Time doesn't wait for no one, so why would you make me wait for you? You left me out in the open. It's only now I've seen the truth. You said you were ready to love me. Now you're loving someone else. Now you gon' be the man I wanted you to be. For somebody else. 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 Whenever you called, I would be there for you. Would have given you my all, but would that been enough for you? 'Cause you had me wrapped around your fingers. My eyes were covered in blinkers. Throw me away, then you linger. Had your hands on the trigger. Had your hands on the time doesn't wait for no one. So why would you make me wait for you? You left me out in the open. It's only now I see the truth. You said you were ready to love me. Now you're loving someone else. Now you gon' be the man I wanted you to be. Time doesn't wait for you back to an empty house that you used to call your home. Looking round, I'm nowhere to be found. You're standing on your own. And you say, if you give me another chance, I'll do better. I'll be the man. But love is just never enough. Gave my all to you when the times are tough. You don't discuss, babe, till I've turned blue. I don't like goodbyes. It's the only time you cry. 'Cause love is just never enough for you. Looking back at the memories we had, we used to have it good. I can't even tell you how we became misunderstood. And you say, if you give me another chance, I'll do better. I'll be the man. But love is just never enough. Gave my all to you when the times were tough. You don't discuss, babe, till I'm turned blue. And I don't like goodbyes. It's the only time you cry. Love is just never enough for you. Never enough for you. Never enough for you. 'Cause love is just never enough. Gave my all to you when the times are tough. You don't discuss, babe, till I've turned blue. And I don't like goodbyes. It's the only time you cry. 'Cause love is just never enough for you. I need time to breathe. You need time to see the things that we want. You need to be free. I can't disagree. Things that we've learned. 'Cause running back and forth, running back for more, it's gonna get us hurt. Say what you gon' say, it won't change the pain, only makes it worse. And I'm suffocating in this love, I can't help but to give up. Nothing on page for all my dues. I know the feeling's mutual too. It's a shame I've had to lose. I think it's time we make a truce. I think it's time that I do me. I think you should go do you. You should go do you. You should go do you. And I wanted to talk. You said it felt like a chore, and that's when I knew. 'Cause that was a little hardcore. You never said things like that before, but I forgive you. 'Cause we're running back and forth, running back for more. It's gonna get us hurt. Say what you gon' say. suffocating in this love. I can't help but to give up. Now that I paid you all my dues, I know the feelings feel true too. And it's a shame I've had to lose. If I think it's time we make a truce, if I think it's time that I do me, I think you should go do you. 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 You should go do you.
Bloody awesome, ain't she? Now, as you can see, we are live, but due to restrictions brought in recently, we wasn't allowed to get her down here to perform with us, so we had to do this as a pre-record. But we're going to go to a conversation with Leah once again. So let's speak to her live and direct. What are you saying, Leah? Another strong performance from Leah, mashing up the stage. And as she said earlier, she is pro education when it comes to the music game. Now, you was talking about some of the people who you know who decided to go straight into the music, and you decided to go this direction and take the education platform before actually coming out and showing the world what you got.
Mm-hmm.
How have the people who decided to go their way done?
Some of them, a few of them, little of them have done well. The rest of them are now in education. They've gone to uni to study music, and I think they're finding themselves. So maybe if they listened the first time around, they could be a bit further than what they are.
Okay, so would you find that the education side of it is now benefiting you in your journey?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Now, let's talk about something else.
Okay.
Your name.
Say my name. I'm joking.
Yes. I'm heard that you are named after a couple of celebrities.
Yeah. So my real name, not that it's any different, is Aaliyah Whitney Hibbert is my first name. So obviously I couldn't come out and be like, "Hi guys, my name's Aaliyah." So I decided to call myself Leah. But yeah, I've been named after two singers coincidentally.
Okay, so when you was born, that means you must have had those. That your mum said, no. This lady's gonna be a singer.
She said, pass the baby because I can't take the screaming.
Has mum ever told you about that story though?
I've heard it from a couple of aunts. Yeah.
And it was actually about the screaming?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I came out. Apparently, I didn't stop screaming for a couple of months when I first born. Yeah.
So you was born with the vocal cords.
The lungs. Yeah, they should have known from then.
All right, so where can they find you? Like, I mean, everybody that's watching right now, where can they find you, hear new music from you?
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm mainly at, which is Leah WH. That's LIYAHWH. Twitter's the same, just put one on it. I'm on YouTube, Leah Music. I'm on Apple Music, Spotify as Leah, or Leah Music. It comes up as one or the other. I've got a new release coming out on the 20th of November.
That was my next question.
Do You, the Do You song, that's the song that's coming out next.
Excellent. Excellent. Leah, it's been great having you right here with us at AAA. And I've got to head back behind the decks and do my thing again.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
Thanks for blessing us with your voice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, the lovely Leah came and shut down the show real nicely. Now, hopefully we can get her down here very soon to come and perform with us live. This has been another special AAA Access All Areas, and our next one will be on Saturday, the 5th of December. Remember, it's the first Saturday of each month, all right? I'm going to close this off by giving you one or two tunes, and then we're out of here.
DJ Longest!
Sip my milkshake, then a handshake. in the first place. Back to your place. But there's no way that you get it. You don't wanna end up be my friend or mate. Okay, touche. Okay, well played. What I gotta do to make you understand me?
The L, the O, the M, the G, the E, the R, the S.
Yeah, trust me, baby, I don't need a friend. Boy, give it up, give it up. I got first place. Kinda looking like you were losing. I'ma give it up, give it up. Cause you know me. Should've thought about it before you do me. I'm about to be the fish to your bait. You rolling down, but I'ma swim way. You don't wanna slice, you wanna whole cake. You can even fit it on you one plate, oh Lord. Don't you get.
Remember, we're back for the December special, Saturday the 5th of December. Access all areas, AAA. Follow us on all social media.
Tell me what is all this for,
Yep.
Why you roll up in your car? I don't care if you came from far, yeah.
Like I was talking about December 1, Saturday the 5th of December, it's going to be all performers, even the hip-hop cypher and everything, R&B cypher. We're going to do this.
10.
You're going to love this. Saturday the 5th of December, AAA Access all areas. We are back.
Now I'm coping like a got her open on some single mindset, that's how I'm thinking. Now I'm feeling like a kingpin, oh yeah. You either drowning or you dripping. That's how it goes when you're the kingpin, oh yeah. Nothing less than Cali when I'm mashing. Brother, these days they be changing for the fashion. Got my priorities straight, but I know that's always pattern differ. Step up in the place where the dogs, I bought the packing. Gelato 41 up in my lungs, this ain't your average. See your opposition first, flag him, then we grab him. And if we're going round for round, then I'ma smash him, send him back to his bits. Got his boys asking what happened. Talking about you right for the ends. How you gonna lie to your friends? Should've known that I ain't really like none of them. I just lit a so big, I'ma have to light it again. And it's 10. That's all I've been smoking. These leeches I ain't open to no beg friend, no beg friend. Struggle now, I'm coping like
DJ Longers. The L, the O, the M, the G, the E, the R, the S. The L, the O, the M, the G, the E, the R, the S. Okay, I pull up, hop out at the after party. You and all your friends, yeah, they love that Gennady. Sipping on it, and I know you love that Bacardi. 1942, I take you back in that Rari. Switching lanes and I'm seeing lights, you know I watch the curse. With my weed, you know I'm getting high, you know it calm my nerves. Pumping non-stop, the bag I had to earn. You can try, but you might fail again, you know you never learn. Living with a bottle, I was tripping. Then I took a couple shots and now I'm dancing. It got me burning up, inside's burning up,
Sugar daddy.
It's BK Soul from
I got a girl, she a London thing.
She wanna roll one, smoke one thing.
The L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the S.
But she say you're the just like my thing. She make my heart beat say like a boom. Next time you're gonna take you to bloom bloom. When we done, we go home and boom boom. Hop on the wagon, baby say vroom vroom. Say cheese, take a picture. Take a post, make a see, take a picture. Say cheese, take a picture. Take a post, make a see, take a picture. Say cheese, take a picture. Take a post, make a see, take a picture. Say cheese, take a picture. Take a post, make a see, take a picture. It's me Moe.
TJ Longers.
The L, the O, the N, the G, the E, the R, the S.
TJ Longers.
Fire starter got the party jumping. Everybody insane, living life on the edge. Burn like it's nothing. YOLO on my brain, my thoughts I can't tame. If you like spark or something. Tell the DJ will it up, cause they ready to play. If you're talking style, you better say my name. Feel the vibes rushing through your veins. Fire starter got the party jumping. Everybody insane, living life on the edge. Burn like it's nothing. YOLO on my brain, my thoughts I can't tame. If you like spark or something. Tell the DJ will it up, cause they ready to flame. If you're talking style, you better say my name. Feel the vibe rushing through your veins.
Okay, we're coming to a close for this month. Remember, we're back Saturday, the 5th of December for our Christmas special. That's what we're calling it, the December Christmas special. We're out of here.
Swinging on the van, on the way to the back, I got to stay humble. Don't take time.